start from son-in-law to establish an immortal family. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26. See you in 10 years. Ruai Tower, Juxin Pavilion. Lu Changsheng, Li Fiyu, Hong Yi, Han Lin, Xiao Zhao, Zhao Qingqing, the six of them reunited after 3 years. In the past 3 years, everyone has changed greatly from the secular world to the path of cultivation. Miss Xiao, strength is respected in the world of cultivation, and you should take this seat. Hong Yi said enthusiastically to Xiao Zhao. However, this enthusiasm is no longer as hot as it was 3 years ago, with the intention of pursuing. It is the enthusiasm and generosity between friends. Because Hong Yi knows very well that he is not worthy of Xiao Zhao now. He didn't catch up with her 3 years ago, and now he is still trying to please her, but he is humiliating himself and can't even be friends. Young Marcus, I won't be polite. After Xiao Zhao refused a little, she was no longer polite. 3 years ago, her personality was straightforward and lively. After 3 years, her personality has not changed much, and the whole person has become more bright and generous. Brother Changsheng, you have changed so much that I almost couldn't recognize you. I heard from the young Marcus that you and Brother Li are sons-in-law of a cultivation family. It seems that your life is pretty good. At this time, Han Lin said to Lu Changsheng carelessly. Among the 6 people, Xiao Zhao, as a lady from a wealthy family, was very interested in the martial arts world. She often chatted with Li Fiyu and asked about the affairs of the martial arts world, and the relationship was relatively good. Han Lin and Lu Changsheng, both of them had similar backgrounds and personalities, so they had a good relationship. Aren't you cultivating immortals? It's normal to have some changes. Lu Changsheng smiled and said, also looking very generous. Although he had changed so much, it had a lot to do with the immortal appearance Chu. But according to the description of the immortal appearance Chu, in the end, it was still because of his good foundation, and there was nothing to be embarrassed about. This is not just a little change, this change is bigger than mine. It is said that girls change 18 times when they grow up. Is it possible that boys change when they are 20? Xiao Zhao teased. She was already beautiful 3 years ago, and now 3 years have passed, and the whole person has completely grown up. It can be said that her beauty is more beautiful than flowers, her face is more beautiful than spring red, and her every frown and smile is touching. Even Lu Changsheng, who has 9 wives and concubines, can't help but take a few more glances. After all, Xiao Zhao is not only beautiful, but also has 4th-grade spiritual roots. If she can give birth to a few children for him, not only is there a high probability that she will give birth to children with spiritual roots, but there is also a probability that she will give birth to children with medium-grade spiritual roots. However, it is unrealistic to think about asking a disciple of the Immortal Sect with 4th-grade spiritual roots to give birth to a baby for himself. It is estimated that for a long time, it can only be realized in dreams. There are girls who change 18 times when they grow up, and naturally there are boys who change 20 times when they grow up. Isn't I an example? Lu Changsheng smiled and replied, his eyes clear and neither humble nor arrogant. With the confidence given by the system, Lu Changsheng can now face anyone with a calm mind and treat them equally. Do you have talent? I have a system. Do you have background? I have a system. Do you have strength? I have a system. So, everyone is about the same. With your talent and background, you have a promising future. I have the system by my side. As long as I work hard, I will definitely achieve something in the future. Immediately, in this familiar atmosphere, everyone quickly started chatting. However, it was mainly Hong Yi and Xiao Zhao who were chatting and looking for topics. Lu Changsheng and Han Lin were the type who answered all questions and interrupted when they were interested. Li Fiyu and Zhao Qingqing were relatively quiet, and basically only spoke when they were asked. During this chat, everyone talked about their recent situation, so Lu Changsheng also had a certain understanding of everyone's situation. Although Hong Yi was the illegitimate son of Ruai Hao and had reached the 3rd level of key refining 3 years ago, he had no cultivation resources in these years and needed to earn them through his own efforts, so he was still at the peak of the 3rd level of key refining and could not break through. This also made Lu Changsheng realize that the bottleneck from the 3rd level to the 4th level of key refining was much more difficult than he imagined. Because Xiao Ziyu had a 4th grade spiritual root, she was directly noticed by the elders when she joined Qingyun Sect and became an inner disciple. Now she has reached the 4th level of key refining. Although Han Lin and Zhao Qingqing were enrolled in Qingyun Sect, their spiritual roots were average, and they were only outer disciples, which was very different from Xiao Ziyu. Inner disciples only needed to concentrate on cultivation, but outer disciples needed to spend time learning a skill in addition to cultivation. Because the sect emphasizes complementary advantages and mutual assistance, the internal division of labor is clear. Some are good at fighting, some are good at formations, some are good at alchemy, refining, and making talismans, and some are good at planting spiritual fields and spiritual medicine. For disciples with good talents, cultivation is naturally the main focus. For those with average talents, see if there are other talents. Han Lin was born as a blacksmith, so he chose the skill of refining. He is also talented in this area and is currently an apprentice under a refiner. In terms of cultivation, he is at the peak of the 2nd level of key refining. Zhao Qingqing chose the skill of pharmacist, and is also in the apprentice stage. His cultivation is higher than Han Lin's, and he has broken through the 3rd level of key refining. After hearing about everyone's recent situation, Lu Changsheng also knew that the gap between the disciples of the Immortal Sect and himself was not as big as he imagined. But he knew that this was just the beginning. The gap between everyone will gradually widen as time goes by. Brother Changsheng is worthy of being the first person to wake up in the 4th level of the test self-asking platform in Qingyun Sect. It's true that the saying is true, gold shines everywhere. After everyone told their own stories, they were all amazed to hear that Lu Changsheng had become a high-grade talisman master from a son-in-law, and had the 3rd level of key refining. Han Lin even sighed and revealed a piece of information. Huh? Brother Lu was the first in the 4th level of the Xianmen test self-asking platform. Hong Yi and others were all surprised when they heard this. That's right, after I became an apprentice of refining weapons, I happened to meet a senior brother who was in the test back then, and asked why brother Changsheng was not selected. This senior brother who was in the test also remembered brother Changsheng, saying that brother Changsheng only had a 9th grade spiritual root and was too old, otherwise he would have been able to enter Qingyun Sect with his performance on the self-asking platform. Han Lin said this with some regret. It's a pity. Li Fiao also felt sorry for Lu Changsheng. The others nodded slightly, feeling it was a pity. Even though Lu Changsheng had achieved so much in 3 years, surprising everyone, in everyone's opinion, it would be better for him to enter Qingyun Sect and become a disciple of the Immortal Sect. Nothing to regret, I think it's pretty good now. Lu Changsheng didn't feel too sorry when he heard the news. If he joined Qingyun Sect, he would have to spend several years and accumulate a certain amount of experience before he could start to marry and have children. In that case, he would waste a lot of time and would not necessarily be much better than now. That's right, with Brother Lu's talent, he can shine anywhere. Hong Yi immediately smoothed things over and started eating, drinking and chatting again. Originally, the protagonist of this party should be Xiao Ziyu. But Lu Changsheng, who had the worst conditions 3 years ago, had a bit of a protagonist attitude in this party. In this way, after the 6 people got together for a day, they went to Ruiyi County for a day under the leadership of Hong Yi the next day, and made a 10-year agreement, and then said goodbye to each other and left. Xiao Ziyu, Zhao Qingqing, and Han Lin, in addition to attending an appointment, also went home to visit their relatives, just like Lu Changsheng and Li Fiao. However, Lu Changsheng was not in a hurry to go back. He asked Li Fiao to go back first, and he would go to the Red Whale Gang to find him later. He was also thinking about finding a place to sell the talismans on his body and buy some high-quality and top-quality talisman materials. He had asked Hong Yi before if there was a Xiuxin market nearby where he could trade. Hong Yi told Lu Changsheng that there was basically no Xiuxin market in the secular world, only some gathering places for scattered cultivators. These gathering places for scattered cultivators would also hold trading meetings on weekdays. He could help him find out and get back to him in the next few days. Chapter 27 Qingzhu Mountain. A few days later. Ruiyi Tower. Brother Lu, I got the news that there is a gathering place for scattered cultivators in Qingzhu Mountain, 300 miles away from Ruiyi County. A trading meeting is going on, which will probably last for 5 or 6 days. If you want to participate, Take this communication talisman and use it when you arrive at Qingzhu Mountain. Someone will open the formation and lead you in. Hong Yi knocked on the door and said to Lu Changsheng. While speaking, he took out a brown and yellow talisman. Thank you, Brother Hong. This matter must have cost you a lot of money. These talismans are drawn by me. Just consider them as a thank you gift. Lu Changsheng took out 3 first-level low-grade talismans and handed them to Hong Yi, saying so. This communication talisman is a basic talisman and is not worth much. But the other party helped him to find out the news, and it must have taken some effort to get this. In terms of interpersonal relations, he naturally would not let others suffer. Moreover, Hong Yi also has a high status in the secular world, and he is willing to maintain this network. Maybe in the future, when his children come to live in the secular world, they will have to trouble Hong Yi. Hong Yi saw the 3 talismans from Lu Changsheng, and felt a little jealous. But he still waved his hand and said, Brother Lu is too polite. It doesn't cost much. I can't do it. Brother Hong is so polite. How can I have the nerve to ask you for help in the future? Lu Changsheng said so, and put the talisman in Hong Yi's hand. In this case, I will be disrespectful. Seeing this, Hong Yi did not refuse and accepted the talisman. Then he bowed and said, Brother Lu, I, Hong Yi, still have some connections in Ruyi County. If you need anything in the future, just let me know. Now that Lu Changsheng has become a talisman master and is so generous, Hong Yi is naturally very willing to have a good relationship with Lu Changsheng. Okay, if there is anything in the future, I will naturally not be polite. Lu Changsheng bowed his hand. By the way, Brother Lu, if you go to such a gathering, you have to be careful. This kind of gathering place for independent cultivators is full of mixed people, and there is no great cultivator to restrain them. There are often some robber cultivators who attack lone cultivators. If Brother Lu is going to sell talismans, if the quantity is not large, I can trade with Brother Lu on behalf of Ruyi Haofu and accept all of them. Seeing that Lu Changsheng took out 3 talismans, Hong Yi guessed that Lu Changsheng should have a lot of talismans on him, and he might be selling talismans, so he spoke out. Most of the upper-class people in the secular world know the channels for cultivating immortals and can cultivate immortals. Ruyi Haofu is like this. There's more than one cultivator. But they are all cultivators in the key refining stage, which is a little better than ordinary independent cultivators. There is naturally a demand for common items such as talismans. However, if he wants to buy low-level talismans, he can still buy them. Buying from Lu Changsheng is not for greed. It is to deepen the relationship and communicate more through this method. Lu Changsheng is now a first-level low-grade talisman master. In the future, not to mention becoming a second-class talisman master, there is still a good hope to become a first-class high-grade talisman master. Once you can draw first-class high-grade talisman, it will be different. Knowing a first-class high-grade talisman master and having a stable talisman channel will also help his position in Ruyi Haofu. If the relationship is good in the future, Lu Changsheng can give him a large number of talismans at a price lower than the market price, then he will make a lot of money. Maybe he can even compete for the position of the Prince of Ruyi Haofu. Thank you for your concern, Brother Hong. I will be careful about this. I don't have many talismans. I mainly use them for self-defense. If Brother Hong needs them, I can sell them to Brother Hong at a low price. Lu Changsheng smiled and took out 10 first-class low-grade talismans. When he showed off his first-class talisman master in the Lu family, he had saved nearly 500 talismans. In the past 6 months, with the Lu family providing materials every month, he has saved another 500 talismans. In other words, he now has almost 1,000 talismans. A very exaggerated and astonishing number. Among these talismans, about half are low-grade and half are medium-grade. If they are exchanged for spirit stones, it would be 2,000 or 3,000 spirit stones. However, wealth is not exposed, so this kind of thing will naturally not be exposed. If Hong Yi wants it, he is willing to sell it at a low price. Because Lu Changsheng himself knows that it is impossible to sell nearly 1,000 talismans at such a casual cultivator trading gathering. He dare not do so. How can this be embarrassing? Just follow the market price. Hong Yi said so. He will not be greedy for a small bargain at the beginning. Brother Hong, take a look at these talismans to see if you can use them. Lu Changsheng handed the talisman in his hand to Hong Yi. I didn't expect that Brother Lu could draw the rejuvenation talisman. It seems that Brother Lu will soon have the hope of becoming a medium-grade talisman master. Hong Yi saw one of the talismans and said in surprise. Although he didn't know how to draw talismans, he knew the price of talismans. For example, a first-level low-grade talisman, depending on the difficulty, the price is 1-2 spirit stones. The rejuvenation talisman is a low-grade talisman that costs 2 spirit stones, and it is more difficult to draw. I can only draw a few of them. Lu Changsheng waved his hand and said. Considering the money-making aspect at the beginning, most of the first-level low-grade talismans in his hand are of higher difficulty. I want all these talismans, but I don't have so many spirit stones on me now. I have to go back to my father to get spirit stones before I can trade with Brother Lu. Hong Yi said a little embarrassedly. Although he is the son of Ruai Hao, he doesn't have many spirit stones. In addition, he has to practice at ordinary times, so he can't save spirit stones. There is no rush. Brother Hong, take these talismans first. I plan to ride a horse to Qingzhu Mountain to participate in the trading meeting and go home by the way. The spirit horse will be temporarily deposited with Brother Hong, and I will come back later. Lu Changsheng said generously. He is not afraid that Hong Yi will become enemies with him for these talismans. If the other party really wants to do this, just use these talismans to recognize a person. Thank you, Brother Lu. Don't worry, I will have someone take good care of the spirit horse. Hong Yi said with a bow. If he took these talismans back without spending any money, his father would be more likely to believe that he had a close relationship with Lu Changsheng, the talisman master. Thank you, Brother Hong. Lu Changsheng bowed slightly, and then asked for a horse and rode to Qingzhu Mountain in Nanyu Prefecture. He didn't have a spirit beast bag, and he didn't know if he could ride a spirit horse to Qingzhu Mountain. In order to avoid these troubles, he simply rode a horse over, and he didn't feel bad if he lost it. After riding a spirit horse for so long and becoming an immortal cultivator, riding a horse is not difficult for him now. The next day, the sky was slightly cool. Lu Changsheng rode a horse from Ruai County to Qingzhu Mountain. He first found a farmer's house at the foot of the mountain and deposited the horse. Then he went up the mountain alone and came to an uninhabited place, and took the human skin mask he bought in advance from the storage bag. Suddenly, the handsome face became a young man with sallow skin and a little dull. Then, he took out a huge black cloak and put it on. With the hood on, not only the whole body, but also the face and hair were all covered, making it difficult to see his appearance. After doing all this, Lu Changsheng continued to climb the mountain and came to a hillside on the north side of Qingzhu Mountain. According to the villagers, this hillside is shrouded in white fog all year round, but Lu Changsheng saw a faint fluctuation of spiritual energy through the spiritual eye technique and knew at a glance that it was a formation. This should be it. Lu Changsheng looked at the fog in front of him and knew that this was his destination. He took out the communication talisman that Hong Yi gave him and activated it with spiritual power. Suddenly, the talisman flew out of his hand, rushed into the fog of the hillside, and disappeared. Lu Changsheng waited quietly for a cup of tea, and saw the fog rolling in front of him, dividing into a very narrow mountain forest path with no end in sight. After looking at the path in front of him for a while, Lu Changsheng stepped in. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28, Gathering of Scattered Cultivators. Lu Changsheng walked into the path. The front was endless, as if there was no end in sight. But after walking about 100 meters, it was as if he had passed through a layer of lake, and the scene in front of him suddenly changed. It became a valley surrounded by mountains, lush and green, and full of flowers and plants of various colors. Only behind him, where he had just come in, there was a path blocked by fog. The valley is not large, covering an area of about 30 or 40 acres. There are rows of antique houses and attics built on all sides, which look a bit like a paradise. In the central area of the valley, many people at this time were like secular small vendors, setting up small stalls and stalls in an orderly manner, and people are surging around. The scene in front of him made Lu Changsheng slightly dazed, and reminded him of the rural market and open-air farmers market in his previous life. If he didn't know that this was a gathering place for casual cultivators, and that there were basically cultivators here, he would have believed that it was a secular market. There should be a spiritual vein under this valley. But it should be a spiritual vein of no rank, and the spiritual energy is much worse than that of Qingzhu Villa. Lu Changsheng thought to himself, and walked towards the central area of the stall. The immortal cultivators here are dressed differently. There are Confucian scholars, monks, Taoists, and knights. There are also people with long swords and broadswords on their waists, carrying giant gourds on their backs, and bringing spiritual beasts. Of course, there are also many people like Lu Changsheng, who are covered by a cloak. Superior healing pills, martial arts pills, cheap prices. 100-year-old ginseng, 100-year-old polygonum multiflorum, all for only one spiritual stone. A dragon tendon, the highest bidder wins. The inherited skills left by the true master of transformation, 9 turns of the golden body, only 10 spiritual stones. The strange stones found in the ancient secret realm contain rare treasures. Don't miss them if you pass by. People came and went at the stalls, and there were many people shouting and selling, which seemed very noisy. Lu Changsheng saw that some stalls were still filled with pots and pans, meat, fish, fruits and vegetables, and other miscellaneous things, and he couldn't help shaking his head. It seems that this gathering of casual cultivators is a little worse than he imagined. Or rather, this is the real bottom-level life in the world of immortal cultivation. Just like ordinary people struggling at the bottom of the secular world. The only difference is that one is in the secular world and the other is in the world of immortal cultivation. Like the Qingzhu family, even if it is poor, there is a foundation-building ancestor sitting in charge, and it has its own spiritual veins and blessed land. After strolling for a while, Lu Changsheng also had a clear idea of this trade fair in his mind. The things sold in these stalls are varied, but most of them are relatively cheap or fake items. Only a small number of them sell things that immortal cultivators can use. There are also several shops in the pavilions of the surrounding houses. The things sold inside are relatively formal and high-end. With the scale of this casual cultivator base, if he wants to sell all the nearly 1,000 talismans on him here, it is impossible. If he dares to do this, it will be difficult to get out of Qingzhu Mountain. However, the selling part is not a big problem. Immediately, Lu Changsheng followed suit, found an empty space, took out a thick stack of talismans from the storage bag in his arms, and placed it in front. On the wooden board next to it, it was written that the first level low-grade talisman costs 1-2 spirit stones, buy 5 and get 1 free. Through his observation just now, Lu Changsheng did not see many people selling first-level medium-grade talismans. So after thinking about it, he decided not to take out the first-level medium-grade talismans, otherwise it would be a bit conspicuous. As for the price, things like magic tools, elixirs, and talismans are hard currency everywhere, and the prices generally do not fluctuate greatly. In order to sell faster, Lu Changsheng still made a buy 5 get 1 free offer. Now, this buy 5 get 1 free, can you choose any one you want? After a while, someone came forward to check the talismans and asked, if you buy 5 for 2 spirit stones, you can choose any one, otherwise you can only choose one here for 1 spirit stone. Lu Changsheng spoke, and a low and hoarse voice came out from his black robe. Okay. Immediately, the cultivator took 6 talismans worth 2 spirit stones and handed 10 spirit stones to Lu Changsheng. After the first business was opened, people came to buy talismans one after another. Talismans are relatively popular among cultivators, and almost everyone will carry a few for self-defense. At this time, buy 5 get 1 free, plus Lu Changsheng's talismans. Even an amateur can see that the quality is good by looking at the outline of the talisman lines on it. In more than an hour, nearly 100 talismans that Lu Changsheng took out were sold out. A total of 133 spirit stones were harvested. Sure enough, there is a skill that makes money. Lu Changsheng was very satisfied and happy with his first pot of gold income. The cost price of 100 talismans is about 22 spirit stones. But now I sell it at 6 times the price. If I sell a first-level medium-quality talisman, at the price of 3 to 5 spirit stones per medium-quality talisman, the profit can be doubled. After all, using ordinary talisman-making materials, Lu Changsheng's success rate in drawing first-grade medium-quality talismans is also 100%. This is also the confidence of Lu Changsheng to leave the Lu family and gain a foothold in this world. After selling these talismans, Lu Changsheng did not continue to sell talismans. Because other people sell talismans, they are all 10 or dozens at most, and it is already exaggerated to sell nearly 100 by himself. If you sell more, you are likely to be targeted, so be careful. Immediately, Lu Changsheng took the spirit stone that was not yet warm and started to consume. In a shop, Lu Changsheng saw high-grade talisman paper and high-grade spirit ink for sale. However, the quality is very general, even a little poor. The materials for making talismans are divided into ordinary, high-grade, and top-grade. But according to the raw materials and manufacturing process, there are also good and bad points. This shop is not very good. But there are not many choices. Lu Changsheng asked about the price. The talisman paper is 5 spirit stones for a stack of 10 sheets, and the spirit ink is 5 spirit stones for a box. It is 5 times that of ordinary talisman paper and spirit ink. It is also a normal price. If you buy this kind of high-grade material to draw first-level medium-grade talisman, there will be no price profit to be made. But for Lu Changsheng who can draw first-level high-grade talisman, it is still a profit. Immediately, Lu Changsheng bargained and spent 66 spirit stones to buy all the 12 stacks of high-grade talisman paper and 3 boxes of spirit ink in the store. He continued to look around and did not see any top-grade talisman paper and top-grade spirit ink for sale. This is also normal. The materials for drawing top-grade talismans are also a bit high-end for this kind of casual cultivator gathering. While strolling around, Lu Changsheng saw a stall selling books on cultivation. Various immortal cultivation stories, travel notes, and handbooks made him feel very interesting. He spent 1 spirit stone to buy 10 books. Then, he saw 5 element spirit materials for sale. After Lu Changsheng walked through several stalls and shops, he bought all the 5 element spirit materials he needed and went back to practice the immortal posture technique. These materials are all first-level medium-grade spirit materials, and the price is not expensive or cheap. A total of 59 spirit stones were spent. Lu Changsheng didn't leave after spending almost all the spirit stones he had just earned. He continued to stroll around to see if there were any better talisman pens for sale. The talisman pen he was using was the golden hair talisman pen given by the Lu family. It was a top-grade talisman pen, but it was not yet a magical instrument. Although it could be used to draw first-grade top-grade talisman, it was still a little bit worse. After strolling around, he didn't see a talisman pen he liked, so Lu Changsheng had to give up. Thinking that he still had to go to the Red Whale Gang to find Li Fiyu and ask the Red Whale Gang to take care of his family, he had to bring something to their door. Lu Changsheng also bought a few bottles of secular elixirs at a stall. These secular elixirs were very cheap and were low-grade elixirs made by alchemy apprentices. The price was about the same as that of basic talismans, 1 spirit stone for 2 bottles. Lu Changsheng spent 2 spirit stones to buy 5 bottles, and felt that it was enough, so he didn't continue to stroll around. He came to the path he came in from and left the valley directly. After leaving the valley, Lu Changsheng saw that there was no one around, so he put the things in his hand into the storage bag. Then, out of a cautious mentality, he took out a light body talisman from the storage bag and used it on himself. With a light tap of his toes, the whole person was as light as a swallow, and he quickly went down the mountain. However, just after Lu Changsheng left, 3 figures walked out of the valley. The talismans of this kid are all very top-notch, obviously from the hands of a high-level talisman master. But this kid only has the 3rd level of key refining. He is so cautious when trading in a place like this. He must be a casual cultivator who has made a fortune, and he has good things on him. The 3 people looked at the direction where Lu Changsheng left with greedy and gloomy expressions, and performed the wind control technique to rush quickly. Chapter 29 The First Battle, The Power of the Talisman. With the blessing of the light body talisman, Lu Changsheng was as light as a swallow and walked briskly. When he reached the halfway point of the mountain, he suddenly heard a sound coming from behind. He looked back. He immediately saw 3 figures wearing bamboo hats, running down the mountain quickly like the wind. In an instant, Lu Changsheng's heart jumped suddenly and his face sank. Was he being targeted? This was Lu Changsheng's first thought. Otherwise, how could it be such a coincidence? When he went up the mountain, he didn't meet anyone. Now when he got down the mountain, 3 people came down the mountain together, and they were in such a hurry. Moreover, although the 3 figures were wearing bamboo hats and their faces could not be seen clearly, Lu Changsheng saw one of them wearing a yellow robe and a burly figure, and he vaguely remembered that it seemed that such a person had bought a talisman from him. At this moment, Lu Changsheng was at least 60% to 70% sure that these 3 people were coming for him. Damn, he had been very careful and restrained. He only took out these talismans to sell, but he was targeted. Lu Changsheng's face was a bit gloomy. Without thinking too much, He immediately took out a first-level middle-grade wind-running talisman and activated it with his spiritual power. Suddenly, a group of blue and dark winds surrounded him, making his feet windy and his speed soaring. The whole person rushed like a gust of wind and lightning, blowing his cloak and blowing his hood off, and his face was a little painful. Wind-running talisman. This kid actually has middle-grade talismans. He can sell so many talismans, he is really a fat sheep. Seeing this, the three people who were rushing towards Lu Changsheng, their eyes lit up and they also sped up. In their eyes, Lu Changsheng is now a fat sheep waiting to be slaughtered. Chila. 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 After Lu Changsheng rushed for a distance, he saw that the three people behind him were also speeding up, not being left behind by him at all, and even getting closer and closer, and his face looked a little ugly. At this moment, he knew without thinking that these three people came for him, to kill people and rob goods. Moreover, even with the help of a light body talisman and a wind talisman, he still couldn't shake off the three people. This means that the three people's cultivation is much higher than his. At least the 6th level of key refining, or even the 7th level. Since we can't run away, we have to do it. Lu Changsheng knew that running like this was not a solution, it would only waste physical strength, and a hint of ferocity appeared in his eyes. He immediately took out a handful of talismans from the storage bag with his arm covered under the black cloak. There were at least 10 or 20 of them. At the same time, he tightly held the golden brick talisman in his hand, and while running, he kept looking back at the three people approaching him. Daoao, please stay. Daoao, why are you running so fast? I just came to meet you and make friends. That's right, we just want to make friends with you. The three people chased after him, kept approaching, and shouted. Making friends, right? What I like most is making friends. Hearing this, Lu Changsheng stopped and looked at the three people who were gradually approaching with an indifferent expression. At the moment when the three entered the range of the spell attack, Lu Changsheng activated all the talismans in his hand. Suddenly, the talismans burst into light. Some talismans, under the control of Lu Changsheng's spiritual power, turned into faint golden light, water curtains, and vines, covering Lu Changsheng's body. Most of the talismans turned into fist-sized fire bombs, water balls, forearm-thick arrows, and sharp crescents. They all shot out at the three people chasing them. Not good. Be careful. This kid actually has so many talismans. The three people were also shocked to see Lu Changsheng use so many talismans at once, and were a little unprepared. They were all at the 6th or 7th level of key refining, and it was a little difficult to resist facing so many talismans at once. However, the three of them were also old hands. Without some skills, they dared not be a robbery cultivator. One of the short and thin figures also took out several talismans and activated them, quickly casting spells, with yellow light flashing in his hands. Earth wall technique. Thick earth walls quickly rose from the ground to block the attack of the talismans. Boom boom boom. However, under the fierce firepower of the talismans, the earth walls were quickly disintegrated. Just when the earth walls were about to be completely disintegrated, a tall and thin figure among the three people had already offered a black shield. The shield quickly grew larger after leaving his hand, spinning in the air, emitting a dark and mysterious light, and withstanding the fierce firepower of the talismans. The last of the three people, a burly man in a yellow robe, offered a flying knife several inches long. The flying knife turned into a white rainbow and flew straight to Lu Changsheng's forehead. However, at the same time, they also felt that there was an amazing aura emanating from Lu Changsheng. Lu Changsheng's black robe cloak fluttered without wind, and golden light burst out from his hand. A rectangular object with the golden light emerged from his hand, shot up, and quickly grew larger in the air. The flying knives were slowed down. They sensed the amazing breath and magic power coming from this thing. This kid is really fat. Not only does he have so many talismans, but he also has such treasures. He is rich. The short and thin man saw this and his eyes showed joy. However, the burly man in the yellow robe who sacrificed the flying knife saw the gold brick that was growing rapidly, and his pupils shrank and recognized its origin. Talisman treasure. He shouted hurriedly, his deep voice full of fear. What? Talisman treasure. The other two were stunned when they heard this. Looking at the golden brick in the air that had turned into the size of a house, like a small mountain, their pupils suddenly dilated and their faces were full of fear. Before they could think about it, the golden brick was surrounded by spiritual energy, radiating golden light, and exuding terrifying pressure. It made the three people feel like they were carrying a mountain on their backs. Their bodies sank, their spiritual power sluggish, and they could not move. Danger. Great danger. At this moment, the three of them clearly felt a sense of death crisis permeating their bodies. They all shouted and begged for mercy and fear. Daoao, let's talk it over. Daoao, spare me, spare me. I was wrong, I was blind. Grandpa, I have an 80-year-old mother and a 3-year-old child. Please put away your magic power and let me go. At this moment, they just felt it was outrageous. It was simply outrageous. It was outrageous to the extreme. A cultivator at the 3rd level of key refining who came to such a small place to participate in the trade fair actually had a talisman. This is outrageous. You have a talisman with you, why are you running? You just showed the talisman, how dare we chase you? Just turned around and left, and even apologized. How can you use a talisman directly when you disagree with someone? Isn't it a waste to use a talisman to kill people like us? Question mark. Are we worthy of it? Question mark. At this moment, the three of them didn't know what to say. The pressure of the golden brick made them speechless. The golden bricks, like a small mountain, slammed down towards the three people. Bang! An earth-shattering sound rang out, and the entire Qingzhu Mountain seemed to shake violently. Chapter 30 Counting the Harvest. Is he dead? Lu Changsheng's heart jumped as the golden brick fell. He stared at the golden brick standing like a hill in front of the three people. Under this blow, the three people didn't even scream. Several defensive spells and black shield artifacts seemed to be non-existent when the golden brick hit them. Who? After being stunned for a moment, Lu Changsheng was sure that he would die, and he relaxed. His mood fluctuated slightly and he was breathing heavily. Although the talisman did not consume much spiritual power, it consumed his mind. Using a stack of nearly 20 pieces consumed him a lot. Mainly, it was to activate the talisman treasure golden brick, which directly drained most of his spiritual power. Lu Changsheng's mind moved and he put away the talisman. The huge golden brick immediately restrained its light, restored its original shape, turned into a talisman, and flew back to Lu Changsheng's hand. And where the golden brick fell, it left a huge pit that was several feet wide and several feet deep. The three tribulation cultivators had turned into 3 bloody muds in an instant. As for the black shield magic weapon, it was directly broken and deformed under the attack of the golden bricks, and turned into an iron lump. Is this the power of the talisman? It's so terrible. I'm only at the 3rd level of key refining, and can only stimulate part of its power. If it is the late stage of key refining, or the foundation building stage, the power of the talisman will be fully unleashed. How amazing it will be. Lu Changsheng looked at the 3 people who turned into meat mud in the huge pit, licked his dry lips, and was extremely shocked. Period. This was the first time he used the talisman and witnessed its power. He started to throw more than 10 talismans at once, and they were all blocked by the 3 people. But once the talisman came out, it directly crushed them. The 3 people had no power to fight back. This not only allowed Lu Changsheng to see the power of the talisman, but also vaguely glimpsed the strength of the great cultivators in the foundation building stage. With the power of the talisman he activated at the 3rd level of key refining, he guessed that it was almost the same as the attack of a great cultivator of the foundation establishment. Not daring to think too much, fearing that the movement just now would attract people, Lu Changsheng resisted the nausea and jumped into the deep pit. From the 3 bloody muds, he took out the 3 people's storage bags. He used the cleaning technique to clean the blood and flesh on the storage bags, and then used a flame talisman to destroy the traces of the mud. He picked up the broken and deformed iron shield and flying knife magic weapon on the side, and used the wind control talisman on himself, jumped out of the deep pit, and left here quickly. An hour later, Lu Changsheng, who had restored his original appearance, rode away from Qingzhu Mountain 100 miles away. After making sure that no one was chasing him, he stopped to rest and prepared to restore his spiritual power. Fortunately, I didn't think about saving. After activating the talisman, I used the talisman treasure directly. Otherwise, it would be impossible to kill these 3 people with only low-grade and medium-grade talismans. This world of immortal cultivation is really dangerous. I am so cautious, but I am still targeted by someone. It seems that I have to be more careful in the future. Lu Changsheng found a forest to rest. Thinking back to the previous situation, he was still a little scared and breathed a sigh of relief. Thinking that he was so cautious, but he was still targeted by someone, His awareness of the dangers of the world of immortal cultivation was raised to a higher level. It feels that this world of immortal cultivation is the naked law of the jungle, where the weak are preyed on by the strong. Without strength, you will encounter danger and accidents anytime and anywhere. It seems that joining a force and relying on a big tree is the kingly way. Although I am living under someone else's roof in the Lu family, at least there is a certain guarantee of safety. Lu Changsheng muttered to himself, and also realized the benefits of having a family power. In the family sect, although you have to contribute to the collective, at least there are people to shelter you from the wind and rain in the early stage. After meditating for a while, Lu Changsheng couldn't help shaking his head. The spiritual energy in this world is too thin. It's too slow to recover through meditation, and I don't know when it will take. He took out a spiritual stone and began to meditate to recover. After a long time, the crystal clear spiritual stone became much dimmer. Spiritual stones are mostly used as currency, but they can also be used for cultivation, absorbing the spiritual energy inside, and speeding up cultivation. However, for most cultivators, it is too wasteful to use spiritual stones to cultivate directly. It is better to buy spiritual food such as spiritual rice, spiritual tea, spiritual wine, etc. After using a spiritual stone, Lu Changsheng's spiritual power has almost recovered. He took out the storage bag picked from the 3 people and began to count the harvest. Fortunately, the 3 of them have storage bags, otherwise this wave of blood loss. I don't know what these 3 people have in their storage bags, whether it is enough to restore my blood. He just made a move, and a talisman alone was worth 30 or 40 spiritual stones. As for the consumption of the talisman treasure, Lu Changsheng himself could not estimate it. But it is worth at least hundreds of spirit stones. If these 3 people are poor, it would be a huge loss. After a while, Lu Changsheng cleared out 103 spirit stones from 3 storage bags. A flying sword and a bell. 3 bottles of Bigu Den, 1 bottle of Huanglong Den, 1 bottle of Qingling Den, and 3 bottles of unknown bottles and jars. 15 first-level low-grade talismans, 6 first-level medium-grade talismans, and 1 high-grade talisman. And books, odds and ends, and a number of miscellaneous things. This flying sword, bell, and flying knife all look like low-grade magic weapons. They should all be sold for about 50 spirit stones. Although this shield is a magic weapon, the restrictions inside have been completely broken. It can only be sold as scrap. I don't know how much it is worth. But these 3 storage bags can also be worth 150 spirit stones. With these scattered things, the total should be about 500 spirit stones. After counting the 3 people's belongings, Lu Changsheng felt much better. He smacked his lips and sighed. It's true that killing and setting fire to get the gold belt. No matter where you are, killing and robbing is always the fastest way to make money. When he first arrived at the Lu family and became a son-in-law, he only earned 2 spirit stones a month. As a talisman master, he only earned 10 spirit stones a month. The 100 talismans sold today are equivalent to the amount drawn in a month. After deducting the cost, he only earned about 100 spirit stones. It's not as simple and quick as killing people and robbing treasures. However, Lu Changsheng didn't have the slightest idea of making money by killing people and robbing treasures. Not to mention his moral values, he couldn't do such a thing as killing innocent people. It was too dangerous and didn't fit his style. With a system in his body, he didn't need to do such a crooked way of putting his head on the belt and taking risks. Marrying a wife, taking a concubine and having children is the right way. What's more, he is just a weak chicken at the 3rd level of key refining, and he won this battle by relying on talismans and talismans. After sorting out everything, Lu Changsheng took the foot-long flying sword and tried to drive it. After reaching the 3rd level of key refining, a cultivator can use the object control technique to drive a magical instrument. Before, Lu Changsheng was rewarded with a flying sword because he was the first to have a baby in the Lu family. But before he could experience it, he sold it to make a talisman. Now that he has a flying sword in his hand, he naturally can't help itching to try it out. Swish, under Lu Changsheng's control, the flying sword immediately turned into a silver stream of light and shut out. Ordinary magical instruments do not need to be sacrificed and refined, and can be driven by the object control technique. The spiritual instruments used by the great cultivators of foundation building contain spirituality, so they need to be sacrificed and recognized before they can be controlled and driven. There are also some magical instruments refined by high-end refiners that require special object control techniques to drive. However, Those magical instruments are also relatively high-end, and this flying sword is obviously not one of them. Under Lu Changsheng's drive, the flying sword is like a silver dragon, with sword energy swallowing and spitting out, cutting the surrounding trees like cutting tofu. Then with a puff, it easily passed through a huge rock, turned into a silver light, and returned to Lu Changsheng. It's a magical weapon indeed. It's no less powerful than a primary spell, but it consumes much less energy. If two immortal cultivators fight, there's a world of difference between having a magical weapon and not having one. After a simple experience with the flying sword, Lu Changsheng was delighted and praised it. If he used a spell like the firebomb spell, he would have consumed almost all of his spiritual energy after using it 4 or 5 times. But if he used the flying sword, he could probably use it for a quarter of an hour and make multiple attacks. Due to his limited spiritual energy, Lu Changsheng did not try other magical weapons. He put away the flying sword and rode his horse towards the Red Whale Gang. He was going to meet up with Li Feiyu, then go home to settle his family, and then return to Qingzhu Mountain as soon as possible. It was still too dangerous outside, so he had to stay at the Lu family to improve his strength first, and having more children was the best way. Chapter 31 Red Whale Gang. The Red Whale Gang is located in Xianshu Prefecture under Ruyi County. The Dajing River in Xianshu Prefecture runs through the entire Ruyi County and is adjacent to the Hugui Canal in Qingzhou. The Red Whale Gang grew by doing water transport business. Not only is it well known in the martial arts world, it also has an official background. One day, a young man in a green robe, with a handsome face and a tall and slender figure, came to Xianshu Prefecture. He led a tall horse and held a small animal with dark hair and a scarlet vertical mark between his eyebrows, which looked like a wolf or a dog. As he walked, he had a calm and confident temperament. At the gate of the city, several men in agile clothes and red shorts saw this young man and immediately cheered up. They quickly stepped forward and said, "But you are Mr. Lu Changsheng. My eldest young master ordered us to wait for you, Mr. Lu." 3 men stepped forward and said respectfully, "Oh? Is your eldest young master Li Feiyu?" This young man was naturally Lu Changsheng, who came to the Red Whale Gang to find Li Feiyu. He saw the embroidery of Red Whale Gang on the 3 people's clothes, and immediately guessed that Li Feiyu had someone to pick him up here. "Yes, my eldest young master is Li Feiyu," one of them replied. At this time, someone also brought a luxurious carriage and asked Lu Changsheng to get in. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng nodded slightly, handed the horse rope in his hand to the person next to him, and got into the carriage with a 9-other mastiff in his arms. "Mr. Lu, please sit down. It takes half an hour from here to the headquarters of the Red Whale Gang," the driver said to the inside. "Yes," Lu Changsheng responded. Immediately, the carriage began to move slowly and steadily. After about half an hour, the carriage stopped and a voice sounded. "Mr. Lu, the Red Whale Gang has arrived." Lu Changsheng lifted the curtain and got out of the carriage. In front of him was a large river. On the river, there was an extremely huge, oval-shaped, whale-like red ship, quietly crawling on the river. Like the surface of the river, under the clear blue sky, the sun shines down and falls on a red flag at the top of the giant ship. On the flag are 2 blood-red characters, Red Whale. Is this the headquarters of the Red Whale Gang? It was the first time that Lu Changsheng saw such a magnificent ship, which was larger than the aircraft carriers he had seen in his previous life. On the deck of the giant ship, there was a 9-story giant pavilion, and around it were iron chains as thick as buckets, which were across the river to fix the ship. "Yes, this is the headquarters of our Red Whale Gang, the Red Whale. Mr. Lu, please." The man next to him introduced, and then walked towards the giant ship to meet Lu Changsheng. On the aisle between the giant ship and the riverbank of the dock, there were gang members guarding all the way. However, before he had taken a few steps, Li Feiyu, who received the news of Lu Changsheng's arrival, came out to greet him. Beside him was a middle-aged man in his 40s, tall, dressed in red clothes, and with a majestic face. Seeing this, the gang guards on both sides of the road saluted. "Greetings, gang leader." "Greetings, gang leader." "Greetings, gang leader." "Changsheng." Li Feiyu stepped forward quickly and shouted to Lu Changsheng. He was a little surprised to see the wolf-like and dog-like beast in his arms. He didn't know where Lu Changsheng got a monster cub. He didn't ask much, pointed to the middle-aged man with a dignified face next to him, and introduced him. "Changsheng, this is my father. I heard you were coming, So I came to meet you. Dad, this is my good friend Lu Changsheng. Li Fei introduced each other. After he returned home, his father heard that he was a son-in-law in a family of immortal cultivators. He was not angry and supported his approach very much. Because for the martial artists in the world, being a cultivator is the best. So what if you are a son-in-law? Only a man who can bend and stretch can be a husband. After hearing Li Feiyu say that a friend who is also an immortal cultivator came to visit, they came to greet him together. Because in the secular world, the status of immortal cultivators is extraordinary. No matter how bad, they are still immortal cultivators. Hello, Uncle Li. Lu Changsheng looked at the man in front of him, who was intimidating without being angry and whose eyes were full of brilliance. He smiled and bowed. Then he took out 5 bottles of elixirs from his arms and said, I didn't prepare any gifts, just a few small gifts. Please accept them, Uncle. You are too polite, little friend Lu. Why would you bring a gift when you come to visit? I have asked someone to set up a banquet. Please come in. Li Xianyang did not refuse and accepted the gift. His voice was deep and magnetic. He was very polite, without the airs of a gang leader. He made a gesture of invitation and walked forward to lead the way. This is just a demon beast, right? Where did you get it from? At this time, Li Feiyu looked at the little beast in Lu Changsheng's arms and asked in a low voice. I saw it at a gathering of casual cultivators. I thought it was good, so I thought of buying it back to keep it at home and to keep it company for my children in the future. Lu Changsheng made up a story. Keep it at home and keep it company. Li Feiyu was speechless when he heard Lu Changsheng's simple words. Living in the Lu family, do you still need to keep a dog to guard the house? And who would buy a monster for a child to play with? Aren't you afraid of hurting the child? He continued, if there is no way to tame the beast, this kind of monster cub will be ferocious and difficult to train when it grows up, right? After 3 years in the Lu family, he naturally knew a lot of information about cultivating immortals. Monster cubs are not as docile as domestic pets. The seller said that this is just an ordinary canine monster with a relatively gentle personality, similar to ordinary domestic cats and dogs. It will be obedient as long as you raise it for a while. Lu Changsheng continued to talk nonsense. He got this 9-nether mastiff through the system lottery, so naturally there is no such thing as a ferocious and difficult to train. Pets are 100% absolutely loyal to him as their owner, and there is no need for any method of taming the beast, or using restrictions or means to control it. That's good. Hearing this, Li Feiyu did not continue to ask more questions. He just saw that the 9-nether mastiff was a canine monster, but he couldn't tell what kind of monster it was or what grade it was. And a cub couldn't tell what kind of wildness and ferocity it had. Everyone entered the Red Whale, where a banquet had been set up. After eating, Lu Changsheng went to rest. He hadn't rested much on the way from Qingzhu Mountain, and he was a little tired. After all, he was only a cultivator at the 3rd level of key refining. He was energetic, but also limited. After the banquet, Li Xianyang remembered a gift Lu Changsheng gave him and took it out to check. Looking at the pills in the bottle, his pupils shrank suddenly. Then he carefully poured the pills into his hands, looked at them carefully, and smelled them again, and said in horror. This bottle is the marrow cleansing pill, which can help people cleanse their marrow and remove hair, and improve their martial arts qualifications. This bottle is the Xiantian pill, which can increase the chance of breaking through the Xiantian realm. This bottle is the Daohuan pill, which can also heal any internal and external injuries. This bottle is the Yangjing pill, which can improve your skills by decades. This bottle is the Wuling detoxification pill, which can detoxify thousands of poisons in the world. This. Li Xianyang looked at the 5 bottles of pills in his hand, and his face, which was intimidating without anger, was full of horror. As the leader of the Red Whale gang, he is also a figure who dominates the prefecture and has a wide range of experience. He recognized these 5 kinds of elixirs at a glance. They are all holy medicines in the martial arts world. Not to mention the bloody storm, but each one in the martial arts world can attract countless people to give up their lives for it. But now, Lu Changsheng casually took out 5 bottles and gave them to him as a gift. How could he not be shocked? Dad, what's wrong with you? Li Feiyu, who was not far away, saw his father like this and stepped forward to ask. This is a gift from your friend. Li Xianyang let out a long breath and showed the elixir to his son. This is Washing Marrow Pill, Xiantian Pill, Great Return Pill, Nourishing Essence Pill, 5 Spirits Detoxification Pill. Li Fiayu's eyes condensed slightly, and he also recognized these 5 kinds of elixirs. As a warrior and a cultivator, he not only knows these 5 kinds of elixirs, but also knows that many precious elixirs in the secular world are low-level elixirs refined by cultivators. However, for immortal cultivators, it is a basic elixir that does not enter the rank. In the secular world, for secular warriors, it is extremely precious, and it is a magic elixir. Yes, your friend is really generous. Li Zhengyang nodded and said with emotion. He had only heard Li Fiayu briefly introduce Lu Changsheng before. He only knew that he was an immortal cultivator like his son. This time, he came here to trouble the Red Whale gang to help take care of his family in the secular world, and he didn't know anything else. Seeing the 5 bottles of elixir at this time, thinking of Lu Changsheng's calm and confident nobleness before, he felt that Lu Changsheng was not simple, not an ordinary immortal cultivator. Your father has been watching people for so many years, and you are not a simple friend. We can make close friends. As for this elixir, it is too precious. You will return it when the time comes. Li Zhengyang put away the elixir and handed it to his son. Although he was tempted by the elixir, he felt that it was too precious and embarrassed to accept it. After all, the gift was given by others because of their friendship with his son, and his son would have to return this gift in the future. Dad, Changsheng and I have a good relationship, so you can take it with confidence. If you feel bad, you can compensate Changsheng's parents and family in the future. Li Fiao also knew that it was impossible to take back the things Lu Changsheng gave, so he spoke. Thinking that he went home without any good things, he felt a little ashamed. This was also because he only had 2 spirit stones a month in the Lu family, and his life was very tight, so there was no extra spirit stone for him to spend. Don't worry about Lu Changsheng. As long as my Red Whale gang is here, I will definitely ensure that his parents and family are rich and worry-free. Even if my Red Whale gang is gone, I will do my best to protect his parents and family. Li Zhengyang heard this, his voice was deep and decisive. Even if an ordinary cultivator asked him to take care of his family, he would agree. Because this is a fairy fate. Being able to establish a favor with a cultivator. What's more, Lu Changsheng looks extraordinary and is a good friend of his son. Chapter 32 Go Home, Return. After staying at the Red Whale gang for 2 days, Lu Changsheng set out to return to his hometown. Li Fiayu brought 2 people with him. Because Lu Changsheng planned to settle his family, he went directly to Ruiyi County and then returned to Qingzhu Mountain. Li Fiayu naturally went back with him. Bringing 2 people would make it easier to settle Lu Changsheng's family. I wonder how my parents are doing after being away from home for 3 years. After embarking on the journey home, Lu Changsheng couldn't help but feel a little sentimental and homesick. After all, this is the home where he has lived for 18 years. Even if he has awakened his memories of his previous life, the first 18 years are also part of his life. 6 days later, a carriage driving on a bumpy, lowest road came to a small mountain village. At the entrance of the village stood a stone pier with the words Wanyu Village written on it. Lu Changsheng looked at the familiar scene in his memory, stopped the carriage outside the village, and walked into the village alone. There were no people at the entrance of the village. There were joyful sounds of musical instruments coming from afar. Lu Changsheng guessed that it must be a family holding a celebration, and the villagers were joining in the fun and having a banquet. He walked towards his home. As the sound of the instruments became clearer and clearer, he paused and quickened his pace. He immediately saw a tile house with 2 courtyards surrounded by a fence in front of him. The house was covered with large characters. There were tables in and outside the courtyard. Many villagers were standing, squatting, or sitting here chatting. Some people were beating gongs, drums, and trumpets, and there were many children playing and having fun. Is this, my younger brother getting married? Lu Changsheng looked at the house and courtyard in front of him, this very familiar place where he had lived for 18 years, and he was slightly dazed. He was the 3rd child in the family, with an older sister and a brother, and a younger sister and a younger brother. His younger brother was 5 years younger than him, and now he was 16 years old, almost the age to get married. Young master, who are you looking for? At this time, a woman with rough and dark skin saw Lu Changsheng coming, looked over here, and came over to ask with a child in her arms. Looking at the woman in front of him, Lu Changsheng's heart was filled with emotions. After a moment of silence, he said in a hoarse voice, "Sister, I am Changsheng." The woman in front of him was Lu Changsheng's eldest sister. Changsheng. When the woman heard this, she looked at the young man in front of her who looked like a nobleman, full of disbelief. Then she carefully looked at this face, which was similar to her brother who had been away from home for 3 years and had no news. Her eyes were a little wet, and her voice suddenly choked. Changsheng, you are Changsheng. Changsheng, where have you been? You haven't come back for 3 years. Do you know how worried your parents are about you? It's good to come back, it's good to come back, Lengzi. This is your uncle, your second uncle. The woman wiped her wet eyes with her sleeved hands, muttered in her mouth, and said happily to the child in her arms who was only 2 or 3 years old. Then she wanted to reach out her hand to invite Lu Changsheng into the house, but she seemed to be afraid of dirtying Lu Changsheng's clothes, so she retracted her hand. She said to Lu Changsheng, today is Changsheng's big day. I'll go tell Dad and Mom. Then she held the child and walked quickly into the yard, shouting, Dad, Mom, Changsheng is back. Changsheng? Who is this? The third son of old man Lu, the one who suddenly disappeared 3 years ago. I have always thought that child is very strange since he was a child. How come he is back after 3 years? He doesn't look like before. Yes, he is delicate and looks more noble than the young masters in the city. When other villagers heard the noise, they also looked at Lu Changsheng at the door and talked about it. After a while, the woman brought 2 gray-haired, weather-beaten, and neatly dressed old men out of the house and looked at Lu Changsheng in the yard. Lu Changsheng also looked at the 2 old men. In 3 years, the degree of aging of his parents was far beyond his imagination. He opened his mouth slightly, and shouted with trembling lips, Dad, Mom. On this day, something happened in the whole Wanyi village that shocked everyone. The third son of the Lu family who had disappeared for 3 years returned home. Originally, this kind of thing had nothing to do with other villagers, and at most they would chat about it after dinner. But after the third son of the Lu family returned home, he set up hundreds of buffets for his brother's wedding. It took more than half a month, and he also built big houses and bought land for the Lu family and his brothers and sisters. The original Lu became Mr. Lu directly. Even the villagers of Wanyu village received a lot of wedding money. This incident was enough to make Wanyu village talk about it for decades. Lu Changsheng, who was talked about by everyone, stayed in his hometown for a day, and then left Wanyu village with Li Fiao and returned to Ruai County. Why are you leaving so soon? Why don't you stay for a while? On the official road, Li Fiao looked at Lu Changsheng and asked, There is nothing to live in. I am relieved that they are all well and have a worry-free future. Lu Changsheng shook his head, looked at the blue sky, and said lightly, After 3 years of separation, he has embarked on a completely different path from ordinary people. Now that he has returned home, his parents and family look at him with a bit of strangeness and all. So, after settling his parents and family, he chose to leave directly without too much worry in his heart. 9 days later. Ruai County City. Outside the city gate. Brother Hong, there is no need to see you off. The mountains are high and the rivers are long. See you later. See you later. Lu Changsheng and Li Fiao led the spirit horse and bowed to Hong Yu beside them. See you later. I wish you two Taoist friends a long life in the immortal way. Hong Yu clasped his fists and bowed. He looked a little more energetic than before. A few days ago, he showed the 13 talismans that Lu Changsheng gave him to his father, Ruai Hao. He said that one of his friends became a talisman master and could trade talismans with a Hao mansion in a stable manner in the future. When his father heard this, he also believed Hong Yi's words when he saw that Hong Yi got a talisman without paying the spirit stone. He praised him highly, asked him to have a good relationship with Lu Changsheng, and gave him some affairs in the Marcus mansion. This made Hong Yi extremely happy, and he was more vigorous. Lu Changsheng and Li Fiao also returned a salute, then rode on the spirit horse and set off. After walking for a while, Li Fiao said, I think Hong Yi seems to be more enthusiastic about you. Although Hong Yi was born in the Marcus mansion, he is only a bastard, and his life is not very good. If he makes friends with me, a talisman master, it should help improve his status in the mansion. Lu Changsheng naturally knew the reason. When he came back to retrieve the spirit horse, Hong Yi gave him 15 spirit stones, the money for the talisman before. He also said that because of this matter, he was praised by his father, Ruai Hao. He hoped that if Lu Changsheng wanted to sell talismans to others in the future, he could give priority to him. Lu Changsheng naturally nodded in response to this. He also thought that he could consider selling some of the talismans through Hong Yi. Otherwise, if he had so many talismans on him and didn't have the strength, it would be a hassle to sell them. Yes, it's too difficult to make money and cultivate immortality in the secular world. Li Feiyu also sighed. After chatting for a while, the two walked onto the official road and hurried on their way. Chapter 33, A Ruined Temple on a Rainy Night, an Old Man and a Young Girl. Half a month later. Boom! A thunderous sound rang out in the dry land. It looks like it's going to rain. On the official road, Lu Changsheng, who was riding on a spirit horse, looked at the gloomy sky covered with dark clouds and said, "It's getting late. There's a temple in front of us. Let's go there and rest for a night." Li Feiyu said as he looked at the darkening sky. Desolate mountain, dilapidated temple, heavy rain, won't there be any accidents? Lu Changsheng also saw an abandoned ancient temple in front of him, and couldn't help but mutter in his heart. However, this kind of weather is not suitable for staying overnight outside. The two rode spirit horses and hurried to the ancient temple. This ancient temple was very dilapidated, overgrown with weeds, full of dust and spider webs. Lu Changsheng performed the cleaning technique, cleaned it up a little, picked up some firewood, and started a bonfire. Then he took out raw meat from the storage bag and began to feed the 9 nether mastiff. "You little thing is really good at eating." Li Feiyu looked at the 9 nether mastiff eating meat in big mouthfuls and said, "Yet, I don't know how it can keep its stomach full." Lu Changsheng said, "Although the 9 nether mastiff is a cub, it has a big appetite and eats 5 or 6 kilograms of raw meat in one meal. Ordinary raw meat is naturally not a big deal, even if it is 100 kilograms a day, it can be raised. But Lu Changsheng feels that if he wants the 9 nether mastiff to grow faster, he will probably have to feed it monster meat. If he feeds it monster meat, it will be expensive. For example, the monster meat sold by the Lu family, even the cheapest one, costs 1 spirit stone for 5 or 6 kilograms. This makes Lu Changsheng feel that if he wants to raise the 9 nether mastiff all the way to the 4th level, it will probably cost a lot of money and resources. The 9 nether mastiff is still a cub, and it will sleep as long as it is full." Lu Changsheng and Li Feiyu also began to meditate and rest. The night deepened, and it began to rain heavily outside. At this time, there was a hurried sound of footsteps outside. Lu Changsheng and Li Feiyu, who were meditating, opened their eyes at the same time. The door of the dilapidated temple was open with a creak, and an old man and a young man walked in. The old man was thin, wearing a black cloth shirt and carrying a gray package. When he saw Lu Changsheng and Li Feiyu in the temple, his eyes condensed slightly, and then he bowed and said, "I and my granddaughter are passing by here, and we borrow the place to shelter from the rain. Sorry to bother you two little brothers. This broken temple is not mine, please do as you please." Lu Changsheng looked at the old man and said, then looked at the girl in pink skirt next to the old man. The girl looked about 16 or 17 years old. She was wearing a pink smoke silk long skirt. Although her appearance was not stunning, she was also very beautiful. Her face was tender and wide, and her lovely face still had some baby fat, which was very pure and beautiful. Due to the heavy rain, the girl's pink skirt was soaked, clinging to her young and tender body, making her slender legs faintly visible under the skirt. The black hair was slightly messy and stuck to her cheeks, making her look weak and pitiful, but with a bit of youthful temptation. But what was surprising was that the girl was soaked, but the old man's cloth shirt was not much wet by the heavy rain outside. The old man smiled and bowed, then took the girl to sit aside. "Is this old man a congenital master?" Lu Changsheng retracted his gaze and used the sound transmission technique to Li Feiyu. He could tell at a glance that the old man was a martial artist. And since he could keep his body dry in the heavy rain, it was obvious that his martial arts skills were extraordinary, so he guessed that he was a congenital master. "That's right, a feather cannot be added, a fly cannot land, this is the method of a congenital master." Li Feiyu also replied in a voice transmission. He naturally knew several elementary spells of the immortal cultivators, and he was much more proficient than Lu Changsheng. But this old man and the girl are obviously not a pair of grandfather and grandson. Li Feiyu continued. "Oh? How did you see that?" Lu Changsheng asked. He also felt that the two did not look like a pair of grandfather and grandson, because there was no intimacy between grandfather and grandson. But he didn't know why Li Feiyu was so sure, and wanted to hear what Li Feiyu, the old man in the world, had to say. Their behavior is not like that of a grandfather and grandson. How can a grandfather see his granddaughter soaked like this? And this old man is a congenital master, but his granddaughter has no trace of martial arts training, which is not very reasonable. But these are barely justifiable. The most important thing is that the girl was acupunctured and couldn't speak. And when she came in, the moment she saw us, her eyes obviously lit up and showed a bit of hope, as if she wanted help. Li Feiyu explained in detail to Lu Changsheng. Okay, it's different when you travel in the world. In that case, do you want to be a hero and save the beauty? Lu Changsheng said with admiration. Unexpectedly, Li Feiyu saw so many things in such a short time. He has the third level of key refining, but he only saw that the old man was a congenital master. The two were not like grandfather and grandson, and did not pay attention to so many details. I grew up in the Red Whale Gang. I started traveling in the world at the age of 12. I have these eyes. As for being a hero and saving the beauty, there is no rush for the time being. Let's see what happens first. Li Feiyu said with a bit of complacency in his voice. While the two were talking, the old man took out a portion of dry food from the package and said in a natural and familiar manner, "Can you two little brothers borrow a fire so that I can roast the dry food? Besides, my granddaughter's clothes are wet now. If we don't make a fire, she will easily catch a cold and get a cold." As he spoke, the old man walked towards Lu Changsheng and Li Feiyu. Seeing the old man coming, Lu Changsheng immediately narrowed his eyes and became a little alert. He put his hand in his arms and held a stack of talismans. He clearly remembered that Li Feiyu had told him that the strength of an innate warrior was no worse than that of a cultivator at the third level of key refining. Once he was approached, the chances of an innate warrior winning were a little higher. The origin of the old man in front of him was unknown, and coupled with Li Feiyu's words just now, there was obviously something wrong. In this case, he would naturally be a little cautious, and as long as the other party dared to move, he would directly attack. "Please help yourself." At this time, Li Feiyu spoke. At the same time, he sent a message to Lu Changsheng, "Leave it to me." Lu Changsheng did not reply, still holding the talisman and keeping alert. The old man came to the campfire, handed over the dry food in his hand and said, "You two little brothers haven't eaten yet, how about eating something?" Roar. At this moment, the nine-nether mastiff, who was sleeping next to Lu Changsheng, suddenly woke up and roared at the old man. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng calmed the nine-nether mastiff and was ready to attack at any time. "We have eaten." Li Feiyu looked at the old man and said with a smile on his face, "Then I will take a stick to start the fire." The old man seemed not to see the roar of the nine-nether mastiff, and bent down to pick up a piece of firewood from the campfire. At this moment, Li Feiyu looked at the old man and said with a smile, "I'm afraid this fire is not enough. I'll add some for you." Before the words fell, Li Feiyu, who was sitting, fluttered his robes and slapped the old man with a palm. The palm force was so strong that the wind whistled. Facing the sudden palm strike, the old man seemed to be prepared and reacted very quickly, raising his hand and slapping out. But at this moment, a thumb-sized flame appeared in Li Feiyu's palm. Bang! Ah! The two palms touched, and the old man immediately let out a shrill scream, and his palm burned. Immediately, the flame spread from his arm to the old man's body at a speed visible to the naked eye, burning him to ashes. Chapter 34 Love at First Sight. Huh? Lu Changsheng was surprised to see Li Feiyu attack instantly and burn the old man to ashes with one palm. He was not only surprised at Li Feiyu's decisiveness. He was also surprised at Li Feiyu's fighting power. He compressed a magic firebomb in his palm, combined with his innate martial arts, and slapped it out. Before the power exploded, the high temperature of the firebomb in his palm burned and melted the person. It was simply impossible to defend against. "I didn't want to meddle in other people's business, but you have to seek death?" Li Feiyu snorted coldly, and then laughed, "But the effect of this magic combined with martial arts is really good." After he killed the man, he seemed very calm, as if nothing had happened. Then he said to Lu Changsheng, "I was right before. This old guy is not a good person. He actually has evil intentions towards us. He is also cautious, but his method is too poor. He can't even use poison well." Li Feiyu said so. Poison. Lu Changsheng was stunned when he heard this, and was a little surprised. He thought Li Feiyu saw something wrong with the old man, so he decisively took the initiative. Unexpectedly, Li Feiyu said that the old man used poison. Yes, the dry food just now was most likely poisonous. When he came over, He also hid a poison-like a fascination incense in his sleeves. When he leaned over to get the fire, he was secretly poisoning. He hid it very well, but his methods were not very clever. Don't you know that I have been used to these things since I was a child? Li Feiyu said, also explaining for Lu Changsheng. It seems that not only the world of immortal cultivation is dangerous, but this secular world is not much better. The methods are hard to guard against. Lu Changsheng was silent for a moment, shook his head and sighed. He felt that he seemed a little dumb in front of Li Feiyu. It's like an old game player and a newbie. Just now, he felt that the old man had some problems and was a little alert, but he really didn't see the secret poisoning. It seems that Jiu Iao Mastiff just woke up from sleep and barked wildly, and he should have noticed something. It is worthy of being a heavenly monster with a trace of true spirit blood. Even if they are still young cubs who sleep every day, they have a keen sense of danger. At this moment, Lu Changsheng also made up his mind. In the future, if he encounters such a thing, he will either take the initiative directly or stay away. Otherwise, with his experience and temperament, he will never be able to play with these old swindlers who have been in the martial arts world for a long time, and something will happen sooner or later. The world is like this, no matter where you are. And when you travel in the martial arts world, you must be extra careful when you meet Taoist priests, monks, old people, women, and children. Li Feiyu said. Old people, women, and children, don't we only have people like us who don't need to be so careful? Lu Changsheng asked. No, you have to be careful, but you have to be extra careful with these types. If you encounter these people together, you have to be more cautious. Li Feiyu smiled and said. While the two were talking, the weak girl in the pink dress also came back to her senses. She just saw Li Feiyu burn the old man to ashes with one palm, and she was stunned. After coming back to his senses, he immediately walked quickly to kneel in front of Lu Changsheng and Li Feiyu. Her innocent and lovely face looked pitiful, and she seemed to want to say something, but she couldn't make a sound. Is there anything wrong with her? With the situation just now, Lu Changsheng looked at the girl and asked Li Feiyu. In his eyes, this girl was just an ordinary person, naturally there was no problem. But Li Feiyu's words just now, be careful of old people and women, made him a little unconfident. She has no problem, she is just an ordinary person. It seems that she should have been kidnapped by that old man. Li Feiyu saw Lu Changsheng's posture and couldn't help but sneered. Then he flicked his fingers, and several keys flew out and hit the girl. The girl kneeling in front of the two people groaned and found that she could speak. The whole person seemed to wake up from a dream, showing a little excitement, and wanted to speak. But the extreme sadness in her heart made her cry directly at this moment. First, it was a sharp and thin cry. Then the crying became louder and louder, venting all the sadness, fear and anxiety in her heart. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng and Li Feiyu looked at each other in surprise. Then Li Feiyu raised his head and looked at the beam with a serious face. Obviously, he didn't want to meddle in other people's business, and wanted Lu Changsheng to deal with it. When the girl's crying became quieter, Lu Changsheng said in a gentle tone, "Okay, it's okay now." Hearing this, the girl raised her delicate face with tears in her eyes and kowtowed, "I am Chu Henzhen, thank you two young heroes for saving my life." As she spoke, her big watery eyes were filled with tears, which fell from the corners of her eyes. "Don't worry, girl, take this money. Tomorrow we will take you to a nearby town. You can find someone to take you home then." After seeing that the girl in front of him was an ordinary poor person, Lu Changsheng sighed, helped the girl up, and took out a silver ingot. When he bought himself a human skin mask and cloak in Ruai County, he also bought a lot of gifts for his wife, concubines and children, and exchanged some gold and silver with Hong Yi. Woo woo woo. As soon as these words came out, the girl immediately burst into tears again, sobbing, "My parents are dead, they were killed." Woo woo woo. This Lu Changsheng's mouth twitched when he heard this, and he suddenly had a headache. He looked at Li Feiyu. However, Li Feiyu still looked at the beams with a focused face. Lu Changsheng sighed and said, "Do you have any relatives?" "No, my parents are dead." Woo woo woo. That villain said that I have some spiritual roots and want to offer them to the immortal as a concubine. My parents refused, so he killed my whole family. Woo woo woo. The girl kept sobbing, and the whole person looked pitiful and helpless. However, when he heard this, Lu Changsheng was slightly shocked. Spiritual roots. He immediately performed the spiritual eye technique, and his eyes flashed with crystal light, looking at Chu Hansen in front of him. There was a faint spiritual light around the girl. This meant that the girl did have spiritual roots. However, he had just started to learn the spiritual eye technique, and could only see whether there were spiritual roots, but not the quality of the spiritual roots. Li Feiyu also looked at the girl, a little surprised. He didn't expect that the girl he saved casually actually had spiritual roots. This also made the two understand why the old man, a congenital master, would bring such a girl. Looking at the girl's tearful and pitiful appearance, Lu Changsheng narrowed his eyes and said, "Girl, what are your plans for the future?" "I don't know." Chu Hansen sobbed softly and said with a blank face. "In other words, you are homeless now, and you don't know what to do in the future?" Lu Changsheng continued to ask. The girl nodded with a blank and sad face, and cried again. "It just so happens that I fell in love with a girl at first sight. I wonder if the girl is willing to marry me, go back with me, and spend the rest of my life together." Lu Changsheng said. Since the girl's parents are both dead, she is homeless, and she has spiritual roots, why not take her as a wife or concubine and bring her home to have a baby? He had always wanted to marry a few fairies with spiritual roots and bring them home to have children. Now a beautiful young girl with spiritual roots, whose parents had both passed away and who was homeless, was in front of him. Why was he still hesitating and pretending to be a gentleman? Naturally, he took the initiative to express his feelings and chose to give her a warm home. But he didn't force her. It all depended on her willingness. If she didn't want to, then forget it. He wouldn't force her. After all, she was the mother of his future child. His moral values didn't allow him to force someone to have a child for him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 Return to Qingzhu Mountain. At this moment, outside the ruined temple, it was raining heavily. Inside the ruined temple, Li Feiyu, who was about to see how Lu Changsheng would deal with Chu Hansen, was stunned when he heard this. He looked at Lu Changsheng with a look of astonishment. He didn't expect that Lu Changsheng would suddenly say such a shameless thing. Fall in love at first sight? Spend the rest of your life together? Did you fall in love at first sight? You are clearly greedy for her body and her spiritual roots. However, he would naturally not ruin his good brother's stage. He also knew that his good brother didn't have any big ambitions in this life. He just wanted to live a stable life, have many wives and concubines, and have many children with spiritual roots. The girl in front of him was of superior appearance, had spiritual roots, and was homeless, and didn't know how to settle down. Then there was nothing wrong with Lu Changsheng's request, which was very reasonable. After all, the probability of a child born to a woman with spiritual roots having spiritual roots is much higher. In his opinion, Lu Changsheng's current situation, even as a talisman master, it is not easy to find a few fairies with spiritual roots to have children. Because pregnancy and childbirth, for female cultivators, have a great impact on their cultivation. Therefore, many female cultivators, even if they are willing to become Taoist partners, are not willing to get pregnant and have children. Chu Hansen was stunned when she heard Lu Changsheng's words, and she didn't react. With tears in her eyes, she stared at Lu Changsheng, who had a handsome face and a tall and slender figure in front of her. The next moment, her white and tender face with a bit of baby fat swish and a blush rose. This young man's words are too explicit. Although many drama stories say that there is no way to repay the life-saving grace, and the only way is to repay it with one's body, but this is too direct. I don't even know his name. Moreover, shouldn't I wait for myself to take the initiative to propose this kind of thing? In an instant, Chu Hansen's head was dizzy, and the whole person was a little confused. Facing Lu Changsheng's gentle eyes, Chu Hansen's heart was moved, and she blushed and lowered her head. Don't worry about it. You can think about it carefully and give me an answer before dawn. Lu Changsheng looked at the shy girl and said so. As he said that, he took out a clean clothes talisman and used it on the girl. The girl's wet pink dress was directly dried and cleaned. This is naturally a little trick. Use a spell to show yourself. Although he has a moral bottom line and will not do things that force people, the bottom line is not very high and can be flexible. Moreover, in Lu Changsheng's view, It is very normal to want to attract girls and show yourself, and it is not a moral corruption. This. You are immortals. Chu Hansen saw Lu Changsheng take out a talisman, and a breeze blew, and her clothes became clean and tidy. Her little face was full of surprise. She also remembered that Li Fiao had just burned the old man to ashes with a palm. At that time, she thought it was some martial arts and didn't think much about it. Now it seems that it is completely the method of immortals. In the surprised eyes of the girl, Lu Changsheng smiled slightly and said gently, "We are immortal cultivators, that is, the immortals you usually hear about." Immortal cultivators. When Chu Hanxian heard this, her big watery eyes showed some doubt. Yes, as long as you have spiritual roots, you can cultivate immortals and become an immortal cultivator. That old man wants to offer you to an immortal cultivator as a concubine because you have spiritual roots. Lu Changsheng nodded and said so. So it was me who harmed my parents. When the girl heard this, she burst into tears again. After crying for a while, Chu Hansen raised her head, her eyes were red, and she looked at Lu Changsheng with tears, and said, "My benefactor is so kind, I really have no way to repay you, I am willing to marry you with my body." Li Fiao on the side did not speak, just quietly watched Lu Changsheng deceive the little girl. "Are you sure you have thought it through?" Lu Changsheng raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He estimated that Chu Hansen agreed because she wanted him to help her with revenge because of her status as a cultivator. However, cultivators who let people kidnap people in the secular world are probably not that powerful. If Chu Hansen became the mother of his child, and when her cultivation level improved in the future, Lu Changsheng would be willing to help her with revenge. "I've thought about it." Chu Hansen pursed her pink lips, mustered up her courage, and said to Lu Changsheng. But after looking at each other for a while, her fair and tender face was involuntarily stained with a layer of red clouds, extending all the way to her earlobes. After Lu Changsheng looked at the girl's red eyes that had just dried tears for a moment, he nodded and said, "Okay, in that case, you will go back with me tomorrow. By the way, my name is Lu Changsheng." Immediately, Lu Changsheng took out a spiritual contract as a marriage certificate and made a marriage contract with Chu Hansen. This was obtained from the storage bags of the 3 robbers in Qingzhu Mountain before. There is a simple contract effect. If you violate it, you will suffer a certain backlash, and it is easy to have a demon in your heart when you practice in the future. To be honest, there is an effect, but it is not that great, it is better than nothing. Afterwards, Lu Changsheng and Chu Hansen briefly talked about their own situation and common sense of cultivating immortals. In the process, he also asked Chu Hansen how the old man knew that Chu Hansen had spiritual roots. Chu Hansen herself did not know about this. However, afterwards, Lu Changsheng saw a spiritual stone in the old man's package. This is a spiritual object that can sense whether others have spiritual roots. When approaching people with spiritual roots, the stone will glow slightly. This also made Lu Changsheng and Li Fiao understand why the old man knew that Chu Hansen had spiritual roots. It is estimated that this old man is working for a certain worm cultivator. In the secular world, there are some immortal cultivators who, because of qualifications, age, injuries, and other reasons, know that there is no hope for cultivating immortals, so they give up cultivation. Turn to pursue the enjoyment of life, glory and wealth, and secular power. This type of immortal cultivator is called a worm cultivator. The most common practice among the worm cultivators is to use their power to have others help them find women with spiritual roots so that they can have children. After all, when they have no hope of cultivating immortals, they naturally put their dreams of cultivating immortals on their children of the next generation. Just like that. On the second day, on the return journey of Lu Changsheng and Li Fiao, there was one more person, Chu Hansen. Chu Hansen and Lu Changsheng rode together. She sat in front of the spirit horse holding the 9 other mastiff, while Lu Changsheng put his arms around her and held the reins. Chu Hansen's face flushed a little, but she was not too shy. After all, Lu Changsheng was also her future husband, so it was normal to have such intimate behavior. Considering that Chu Hansen was offered to cultivator by the old man, Lu Changsheng was worried about getting into trouble, so he and Li Fiao sped up and raised their vigilance. But it was a false alarm, and they did not encounter any danger along the way. 7 days later, the 3 people and 1 beast returned to Qingzhu Mountain smoothly. Chapter 36, Marry Chu Hansen. As a family of immortal cultivators, the Qingzhu family naturally could not bring anyone in casually. At least Lu Changsheng was not qualified yet. However, the garrison children also recognized Lu Changsheng and did not make things difficult for him. Seeing that Chu Hansun had no cultivation and was just an ordinary person, they checked her out briefly and let her go. They just asked Lu Changsheng to report to Uncle Fu. "Thank you." Lu Changsheng nodded and thanked him, then brought Chu Hansun and Li Feiyu to Qingzhu Villa to return the spirit horse to Uncle Fu and report to him. Uncle Fu saw that Lu Changsheng had returned from a trip and brought a young girl with him, and his expression was strange and he was a little speechless. He thought that Lu Changsheng had signed a new contract before and asked you if he could marry a wife and concubine. It turned out that he was waiting here. Since he couldn't take concubines from the Lu family, he would bring one from outside, right? But it was just a woman, so Uncle Fu didn't say anything, and it was hard to say anything. After all, except for the female side, Lu Changsheng has performed very well in all aspects of talisman making, and the Lu family is still quite satisfied. However, after seeing that Chu Hansun had spiritual roots, Uncle Fu became a little serious. He told Lu Changsheng that he could bring people in the future, but he could not bring cultivators and people with spiritual roots into Qingzhu Mountain casually. Because the spiritual energy of a spiritual vein is limited. One more person practicing will consume more spiritual energy. It doesn't matter if there are more people in the spiritual vein of Qingzhu Mountain. But this is the rule of the Lu family. If you can bring people in casually, and everyone brings people, and brings their relatives and friends into Qingzhu Mountain, then Qingzhu Mountain will be overcrowded. Especially since Lu Changsheng still lives in Qingzhu Valley, he can't bring people in casually. So Uncle Fu told Lu Changsheng to bring 2 people at most. If he wants to bring people in the future, he will have to pay spiritual stones. As for the 9 other mastiff, Uncle Fu didn't say anything. It is normal for cultivators to raise a monster as a spiritual pet, and the Lu family has no rules or restrictions in this regard. There are many kinds of monsters, and the current 9 other mastiff is still a cub, looking like a little wolf dog, not very eye-catching. So Uncle Fu didn't care, but just told Lu Changsheng to be careful. There are so many children in the family, it would be bad if the pet hurt the children. Lu Changsheng nodded in response to these words. After thanking Uncle Fu, he took Chu Hansun back to his residence with Jiu Yao Mastiff in his arms. Lu Changsheng brought Chu Hansun home, and the wives and concubines in the family naturally had no objection. Although the Lu family is a family of immortals, Lu Changsheng's wives and concubines all grew up in the secular world and have some feudal ideas. Especially Lu Changsheng showed his talent for making talismans, his status in the Lu family rose, and he moved to Qingzhu Valley. The wives and concubines in the backyard were even more harmonious. It's not an exaggeration to say that the husband is the backbone of the wife. After Lu Changsheng and his wives and concubines briefly told Chu Hansun's pitiful life experience, the wives and concubines were very caring for this new sister. Let Chu Hansun quickly integrate into this new family. However, Chu Hansun suffered a big change and now came to a strange environment. She lacked a sense of security and was the one she was most attached to. Usually, whenever she sees Lu Changsheng, she sticks to him. Lu Changsheng doesn't care about this. She also spends more time every day to cultivate and enhance her relationship with Chu Hansun. After more than half a month of emotional improvement, Chu Hansun also completely opened her heart to Lu Changsheng. She told him everything about her family situation. She came from a scholarly family in Zhoushan Mansion, Dongyang County, Qingzhou. Except for her brother Chu Changzhu who went to Beijing to take the imperial examination, the rest of the family was killed by the old man in this incident. She said she had no relatives before, but she knew that Lu Changsheng would not take her to find her brother at that time. She also had some intention of getting entangled with Lu Changsheng and Li Feiyu. After all, she was in a state of fear, panic, and despair at the time. At this time, she met Lu Changsheng and Li Feiyu, who were heroes saving the beauty, and it was naturally like a ray of light in the darkness, and she wanted to hold on tightly. Otherwise, she, a weak woman, didn't know what to do in the future. After getting along with each other for this period of time, she became closer and closer to Lu Changsheng, and she was very glad of her choice. Knowing that Lu Changsheng was a man worthy of entrusting her life to, and also having love for Lu Changsheng, she did not hold back. Finally, she also asked Lu Changsheng to help her find her brother Chu Changzhu, and to tell her brother about the family affairs and her current situation. As for revenge for her parents, she did not mention it. It may also be that she knew that this matter was not easy for Lu Changsheng, so she did not mention it. Lu Changsheng naturally agreed to this little thing and said that he would ask someone to help find her brother. At the same time, Lu Changsheng saw that Chu Hansun had opened her heart and proposed to get married. Faced with this request, Chu Hansun naturally nodded in agreement shyly. Afterwards, Lu Changsheng asked Uncle Fu for help and held a simple wedding at Qingzhu Villa to marry Chu Hansun. After all, the girl was alone and came to Qingzhu Mountain with him. Lu Changsheng would naturally give her enough sense of security and a name. Why did Lu Changsheng marry again? He went out some time ago, so he brought a woman back. Oh my god, he has already married 9, why is he marrying again? He already has more than 10 children, why is he still giving birth? It's outrageous, it's outrageous, he obviously doesn't need to give birth to 50, why is he still giving birth like this? It can be seen that he really likes children. Doesn't he need to practice cultivation? Does it look like he is practicing cultivation to marry a wife, take concubines and have children like this? I just used the spiritual eye technique to take a look, and this bride has spiritual roots. Hiss, no wonder. Many Lu family members and immortal seedlings came to attend Lu Changsheng's wedding, and they were very impressed that he married again. After all, he already has 9 wives and concubines. For an immortal cultivator of this age, this undoubtedly means giving up immortal cultivation. The immortal seedlings didn't know what to say about this. It was obvious that Lu Changsheng didn't have to be forced to have children, but he still took the initiative to marry and gave birth to children like crazy. And they obviously didn't want to marry and have children, they just wanted to practice cultivation, but they had to have children. The wedding was very simple, there was no ceremony, it was just a formality. Then he invited all the Lu family members and immortal seedlings from Qingzhu Villa to have a meal, which was a little lively. The wedding banquet cost Lu Changsheng a total of 24 spirit stones. As for the gifts from others, Lu Changsheng returned them all. It was not that he thought the money was too much. The Lu family members and immortal seedlings from Qingzhu Villa were originally poor and had a hard life. He was financially well off now, so there was no need to covet this little money. If he did that, people would say behind his back that he deliberately cheated people out of the gift money at the wedding. Lu Changsheng also gave a red envelope to Li Feiyu, his good brother. After all, Li Feiyu was also a witness to him and Chu Hansun, so he naturally had to show some appreciation. At the same time, he also asked Li Feiyu to write a letter back to the Red Whale Gang to help find Chu Hansun's brother, Chu Changsheng. After the wedding banquet was almost over, Lu Changsheng came to the bridal chamber. Hansun. Lu Changsheng called out when he saw Chu Hansun sitting on the bed, wearing a phoenix crown and a red veil. Chu Hansun didn't say anything, but her feet wearing red embroidered shoes shrank slightly under her skirt. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng chuckled, came to Chu Hansun, and gently lifted the red veil. Chu Hansun's delicate and shy face was exposed. Husband. Chu Hansun's fair face was flushed, and she called out timidly. Even though she had been with Lu Changsheng for so long and had developed a dependence and affection for him, Chu Hansun still looked shy. This was her personality. Hansun, it's time to rest. Lu Changsheng looked at Chu Hansun, whose eyes were drooping, her face was full of shyness, and her hands were hidden somewhere, and he also sat on the bed and embraced her. Husband, the candles haven't been blown out yet. Chu Hansun said softly, but before she finished, she let out a sweet groan. Chapter 37, Is it okay to have 10 children? The next morning, a ray of sunlight passed through the lush green bamboos and fell into the room, shining on the messy red wedding gown beside the bed. On the ground beside, in addition to a pair of boots, embroidered shoes, there was also a pink belly band embroidered with lotus flowers, and pure white silk stockings. On the bed, Chu Hansun's delicate body was wrapped in a quilt, like a kitten, hugging Lu Changsheng's arm and sleeping in his arms. Her long legs were also wrapped around Lu Changsheng, and a section of her round, jade-like calf stretched out of the quilt, revealing a white, delicate, and slender little foot. As soon as Lu Changsheng woke up, he felt that he was being hugged so tightly that he was almost out of breath. He opened his eyes and saw Chu Hansun in his arms. The latter's hair was disheveled, and there were still traces of tears in the corners of her eyes. I don't know how long she cried last night. Her whole body was wrapped around him, as if she was afraid that he would leave. Seeing the tear marks at the corners of her eyes and her red eyes, Lu Changsheng felt a little pity for her, thinking that Chu Hansun really loved to cry and was easy to cry. He wanted to get up a little, but because Chu Hanxian hugged her too tightly, he let it go and just lay there, letting her hug him. The latter was weak in nature, lacked a sense of security, and was very attached to him. He had just finished a bridal chamber and he had nothing to do, so he simply accompanied her more. It was unknown how long it had been, but Chu Hanxian's eyelashes fluttered. She opened her watery eyes, glanced at Lu Changsheng, and shouted with a hoarse voice, "Husband! Wake up!" Lu Changsheng smiled and gently stroked her delicate white face. Chu Hanxian didn't say anything. Her cheek rubbed Lu Changsheng's palm lightly, and her delicate body pressed tightly against Lu Changsheng's arms. Lu Changsheng just hugged her quietly, stroking her gently, enjoying the tranquility of the two. After a while, Chu Hanxian's little feet exposed outside the quilt moved restlessly, and her crystal jade toes curled inwards for a while, then stretched and tightened, moving non-stop. She blushed and called out to Lu Changsheng, "Husband." Then the two of them stayed together for a while before getting up. After getting up and getting dressed, Chu Hanxian suddenly asked, "Husband, will I get pregnant?" After spending so much time with his sisters and seeing so many children at home, Chu Hanxian also knew that Lu Changsheng liked children very much, and she also wanted to have children. For this kind of thing, Chu Hanxian was afraid in her heart, but also a little yearning. She wanted to have a warm family again. "Hanxian, are you willing to give birth to a child for your husband?" Lu Changsheng heard this, smiled, and said softly. Chu Hanxian's ears turned red, and she hummed softly, then said in a voice as soft as a mosquito, "Yes." Seeing this, Lu Changsheng hugged Chu Hanxian into his arms, kissed her delicate ears that were slightly red, and said, "Then, is it okay to have 10 children?" When Chu Hanxian heard this, her delicate body stiffened, her eyes widened, and she was a little at a loss. "Having 10 children? When will they be born?" "Haha, I'm just kidding you, it's time to go to dinner," Lu Changsheng said with a smile. Although the words were a bit joking, Lu Changsheng couldn't deny that he really had such thoughts. After all, Chu Hanxian had spiritual roots. He naturally hoped that the latter could have more children. However, he would still respect Chu Hanxian's wishes and would not treat the latter as a simple reproductive machine. In the next few days, Lu Changsheng accompanied Chu Hanxian every day. At the same time, he taught Chu Hanxian to start cultivating immortals. The technique was the spoils of war obtained from Qingzhu Mountain before. It was a primary cultivation technique called Changsheng. Compared with Huiyuan, it also had some effects of maintaining beauty and health. Lu Changsheng also wanted to use this method to see what kind of spiritual root talent Chu Hanxian had. Before, Uncle Fu could only see that Chu Hanxian had spiritual roots, but he couldn't tell what kind of spiritual roots. After observing Chu Hanxian's cultivation speed of drawing qi into the body, Lu Changsheng initially judged that Chu Hanxian should be an 8th grade spiritual root. It was only slightly better than his 9th grade spiritual root. But Lu Changsheng was already very satisfied. As long as Chu Hanxian had spiritual roots, the child he and Chu Hanxian gave birth to would have a high probability of having spiritual roots. This was enough. A month later, with Lu Changsheng's day and night cultivation, Chu Hanxian successfully became pregnant. Lu Changsheng was very happy to learn that Chu Hanxian was pregnant. After all, this was his first wife with spiritual roots. They both had spiritual roots, and the probability of this child having spiritual roots was as high as 10% or 20%. 10% or 20% doesn't sound high. But compared to the fact that one parent had spiritual roots, the probability increased tenfold. Lu Changsheng couldn't help but look forward to the birth of this child. At this time, Lu Changsheng also remembered the spiritual materials for building the foundation of Xianziju that he bought in Qingzhu Mountain. He was going to retreat for a while to complete the foundation of Xianziju and practice it automatically. During this trip, Lu Changsheng also realized the advantages and benefits of being handsome. Apart from other things, as for the matter of Chu Hanxian, Lu Changsheng felt that if he had a dark face and looked ordinary, he would not be so smooth. After all, if you are handsome, women are willing to marry you. If you are ugly, you can only be a cow or a horse in the next life. When he came to the training room, Lu Changsheng took out a fist-sized piece of red gold from the storage bag, a piece of green wood as thick as a baby's forearm, a bottle of clear and transparent spiritual water, a piece of red stone, and a bag of kaki soil. It was the 5 element spiritual materials he bought in Qingzhu Mountain to practice Xianziju. He placed the 5-element spiritual materials in front of him and sat cross-legged. Qi. Lu Changsheng shouted, pinched his hands, and the immortal appearance art was running. The spiritual power in his body surged, causing the 5 spiritual materials to slowly rotate around his body, and the spiritual light was diffused. Buzz buzz buzz, threads of breath flew out of the spiritual materials and entered Lu Changsheng's body. Just like this, 10 days later, Lu Changsheng finished refining the 5 elements of spiritual materials, opened his eyes, and completed the foundation of the immortal appearance art. In the following long period of time, the immortal appearance art will automatically practice and operate. Without practice, it will modify his appearance and make him more and more handsome. At the moment when the foundation of the art was completed, Lu Changsheng's whole person showed some mysterious changes. I can't tell the specific details, but his appearance, facial features, body temperament, and people look obviously more comfortable and natural. Lu Changsheng didn't pay much attention to these small changes in himself. He tidied his clothes a little, walked out of the practice room, and came to the front yard to accompany his wife, concubines, and children. At this time in the yard, the eldest son Lu Pingyan was sleeping with a little Jiu'ao Mastiff in his arms, looking very harmonious. When Jiu'ao Mastiff was first brought home, his wives and concubines were a little worried at first, fearing that they would hurt the child. But after a while, they found that Jiu'ao Mastiff was very docile. Apart from eating, he basically slept every day, and gradually became less afraid, feeding Lu Changsheng every day. The children at home liked Jiu'ao Mastiff as a playmate very much, and often disturbed Jiu'ao Mastiff so that he couldn't sleep peacefully. 6 days later, Lu Changsheng's 14th child was born. It was a boy without spiritual roots. After having so many children, Lu Changsheng could feel that he was becoming more and more indifferent to the newborn children. If there were no spiritual roots, the system rewards, and watching the birth of the child, there would not be much joy. No wonder the ancient emperors killed their own sons as if they were playing. Lu Changsheng looked at his 14th son, feeling a little emotional. He could clearly feel the changes in his mentality over the past few years. However, he only sighed occasionally about this emotion and quickly drove it out of his mind. Chapter 38 The Second Spiritual Root Child. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, half a year has passed. In this half year, Lu Changsheng's 15th and 16th children were born. None of them had spiritual roots, which made Lu Changsheng look forward to the child in Chuzhansun's belly even more. At the same time, with Lu Changsheng's efforts for half a year, 5 more wives and concubines became pregnant. Except for Chuzhansun, who was still pregnant with her first child, the 3 wives and 6 concubines before were all pregnant with their second child. Like Lu Zier and Lu Qinger, the 2 sisters have already started their 3rd child. On this day, Lu Changsheng finished his daily meditation in the practice room, and then came to the study to start drawing talismans. These 2 things have become his daily routine. Now that he has reached the 3rd level of key refining, it is no longer difficult for Lu Changsheng to draw a mid-grade talisman. He can draw it successfully at will. As for the top-grade talismans, because of the limited mana and mind, the poor quality of the talisman pen, and the average quality of the talisman paper and spiritual ink, there is still a lot of difficulty. He can only risk failure and forcefully draw some relatively simple top-grade talismans. Therefore, only a small part of the high-grade talisman paper and high-grade spiritual ink he bought in Qingzhu Mountain was used to draw talismans to prevent accidents. He planned to wait until his cultivation level was further improved, buy a good talisman pen, and then draw talismans with the other materials. Anyway, he couldn't sell the talismans now, so he just needed enough for emergency use. After drawing 2 medium-grade talismans, Lu Changsheng put down the talisman pen and prepared to find his wife and concubine to relax. As soon as he walked out of the study, a servant handed him a letter. It was a letter from Hong Yi. The letter talked about some reminiscences, saying that he had performed well during this period, and his father, Ruai Hao, handed him some family affairs. Then he asked about Lu Changsheng's recent situation. This was not the first letter Lu Changsheng received from Hong Yi. It was the 3rd letter he received since he returned to Qingzhu Mountain. Lu Changsheng naturally knew why Hong Yi did this. Now I have extra talismans to sell. Even if the Lu family knew about it, they would not blame me. Lu Changsheng thought to himself. He had not sold talismans to Hong Yi before, and the reason was very simple. He was worried that the Lu family would find out about his private trade of talismans with Hong Yi. If the Lu family found out and saw that he had a lot of talismans to sell, it would be bad. But after so long, he had been a first-class talisman master for more than a year. With the proficiency he usually showed, it was normal for him to have some extra talismans to sell. Immediately, he replied in the letter that he did have some talismans for sale, and Hong Yi could sell them if he needed them. He asked about the transaction and how it would be done. Of course, he couldn't leave Qingzhu Mountain just to sell a talisman, so he asked Hong Yi to find a way. After writing the letter, Lu Changsheng handed the letter to a servant and asked him to take it to the post station to mail it. There was a post station in the Lu family that sent letters to the secular world, but it was slower. It would take a month or even longer for a letter like this to be delivered to Hong Yi. If there was really an emergency, he could only use a talisman for sending messages. Afterwards, Lu Changsheng went to the backyard to accompany his wives, concubines and children. This was also considered half of his daily routine. Seeing Chu Zhansun's big belly, Lu Changsheng also thought of her brother. He went to Qingzhu Villa again and asked Li Fiao if there was any news about Chu Zhansun's brother, Chu Cheng, from the Red Whale Gang. However, Li Fiao said that there was still no news about Chu Cheng from the Red Whale Gang. It has been more than half a year, and there is still no news about Chu Zhansun's brother Chu Cheng, which made Lu Changsheng even think that his cheat brother-in-law might have encountered an accident. After all, according to Chu Zhansun, her brother was just an ordinary scholar. It was a journey of thousands of miles to Beijing to take the exam. If he encountered some danger on the way, it was not impossible for him to confess directly. Lu Changsheng planned in his heart that if there was no news after a while, he would ask Hong Yi to help investigate. After all, the Red Whale Gang was just a gang in the underworld. Once it left Xianshu Prefecture, its influence was limited. At the same time, at the junction of Qingzhou and Jizhou in Jiang State, there is a steep cliff with rugged rocks. The cliff is surrounded by heavy fog, making it difficult to see the opposite side. The valley between the cliffs is so deep and bottomless under the fog that people can't help but feel palpitations when they get close to take a look. At this moment, in the endless and bottomless valley, woo, the gray fog is filled, and the wind is howling, like ghosts crying and wolves howling. But in the center of the valley, there is a blood-red lake of more than 10 square meters. Around the lake, there are piles of white bones, which makes people shudder, and this blood-red lake is even worse. The blood water is deep and dark, filled with an indescribable evil and demonic nature, and blood bubbles are bubbling. Every time a blood bubble bursts, it is accompanied by a faint and strange howling sound. In this blood lake, there is also a large cocoon that is as thin as a cicada's wing and glows with crystal-like blood. The large cocoon rises and falls in the blood lake, as if it is still breathing, and the glowing blood-red light flickers, which is very strange and fascinating. If you look closely, you can vaguely see that there is a man wrapped in the blood cocoon. At this time, the man seemed to be about to open his eyes, but the next moment, a blood-red lotus like a half-moon appeared between his eyebrows, causing him to close his eyes tightly again and fall into deep sleep. 3 months later. The peak of the 3rd level of key refining. But if I want to break through the 4th level of key refining, I don't know how long it will take. In the training room, Lu Changsheng, who was sitting cross-legged, opened his eyes, exhaled a breath of turbid air, and murmured. It took him about a year to reach the 3rd level of key refining. But now that he has reached the peak of the 3rd level, he can clearly feel that the 3rd level of key refining to the 4th level of key refining is different from before. There is a bottleneck. It is impossible to break through without any obstacles, and it will take a long time of hard work. Lu Changsheng didn't care too much. After all, with his lousy talent, it was already very good to be able to cultivate to the peak of the 3rd level of key refining so quickly. He had a clear positioning for himself. A late bloomer. When there are more children and they grow up, things will get better. Zhansun will be born soon. Lu Changsheng stood up, patted his dusty robe, and walked out of the training room. 11 days later, Chu Zhansun gave birth. At the moment the child was born, Lu Changsheng outside the delivery room immediately had a mysterious feeling. It was the throbbing of the spiritual roots. Knowing that his child had spiritual roots, this made Lu Changsheng very excited. He felt that his expectations for more than half a year were not in vain. Sure enough, I still have to give birth to a child with a spiritual root. Otherwise, if I only have spiritual roots, the probability of the child born having spiritual roots is too low. Before Xiaoqi had spiritual roots, it was purely luck. Lu Changsheng took a deep breath and was very happy and excited. This made several wives and concubines beside him feel a little jealous when they saw Lu Changsheng's attitude. Even though they were virtuous and gentle, they felt that Lu Changsheng favored Chu Hansen a little. Not only did he show more concern for Chu Hansen on weekdays, but now that the child was born, he was much happier than before. But they also knew the reason. Chu Hansen had spiritual roots and could cultivate immortals. The child born to Lu Changsheng would also have spiritual roots with a high probability. Naturally, Lu Changsheng favored her a little more. When Xiaoqi was born before, the system gave a share of money. If I have 10 children with spiritual roots, the system should also give a share of money. Lu Changsheng didn't notice the expressions of his wives and concubines, and was immersed in the joy of the birth of this child. When Xiaoqi Lu Xianzi was born before, he was given a reward because he gave birth to a spiritual root child for the first time. He guessed that it should be the same as the number of children, and rewards would be given when a certain number is reached. Not long after, the midwife walked out of the delivery room with the child. It was a boy. Lu Changsheng walked into the delivery room with the child and visited Chu Hansen. Although Chu Hansen has practiced Taoism, she got pregnant not long after she started practicing. So she has not yet completed the process of drawing qi into her body, and her body is still very weak. Moreover, the first few levels of qi training do not improve physical fitness much. Seeing the weak Chu Hansen, Lu Changsheng coaxed her to sleep, handed the child to the nanny, and went to the practice room to start practicing. There was no way he could not see the child's spiritual roots, nor could he see the changes in his own spiritual roots in detail. He could only judge how much his spiritual roots have improved through this simple and plain way of practice, and then estimate the spiritual root grade of the child. Chapter 39 The Fifth Lottery. A few hours later, Lu Changsheng opened his eyes and let out a long breath. It's a bit better than Xiaoqi's spiritual roots. Through the practice just now, he could feel that his cultivation speed had increased by more than 10% compared to before. This means that this child's spiritual roots are better than his first child with spiritual roots, Lu Xianzi's. But it's not much better. Lu Changsheng estimated that it was also a low-grade spiritual root, 8th or 7th grade. Because Lu Changsheng had already had a rough estimate of the spiritual roots of his previous child, Lu Xianzi. The highest was 8th grade spiritual roots. It is very likely that he was a 9th grade spiritual root like his father. It's already good. With this 10% effect, plus the blessing of Xiaoqi's spiritual roots, my current cultivation speed is almost reaching the cultivation speed of 8th grade spiritual roots. As long as I have many children, even if they are all low-grade spiritual roots, the quantity can cause qualitative changes. Maybe my future cultivation speed can even exceed the legendary heavenly spiritual roots. Lu Changsheng muttered to himself, very happy. This child only has low-grade spiritual roots, so he didn't care too much. For him now, it's good enough for the child to have spiritual roots. There's no need to ask for the grade. Moreover, when the two children grow up and their spiritual roots are fully developed, it will bring him a lot of improvement. The most important thing is that when the children grow up, they can cultivate immortality, and their strength can be added to him as a father. Moreover, the children have spiritual roots, so when they get married and have children in the future, there is a probability that they will give birth to children with spiritual roots. This generation after generation is hope and the future. Thinking that there will be more children with spiritual roots in the future, these children will all be successful in cultivation and have branches and leaves, and he, as a father, can lie down. Lu Changsheng felt happy in his heart and felt that the future was bright. 3 days later, Lu Changsheng received another letter. It was a letter from Hong Yi. He said that as long as Lu Changsheng had a certain number of talismans, he could send his confidants to bring spiritual stones to Qingzhu Mountain to trade, which was full of sincerity. After reading the letter, Lu Changsheng thought for a moment. He wrote back that if Hong Yi came over in 3 or 4 months, he could take out about 100 talismans. After all, it had been so long, and it was not too much for him to sell 100 talismans. In addition to making money by selling talismans, Lu Changsheng also wanted to use the benefits in talisman business to stabilize Hong Yi's line. Hong Yi had mentioned in his letter before that he was responsible for some affairs in Ruihao Mansion. That is, dealing with immortal cultivators and collecting some news from the immortal cultivation world. At the same time, through the martial arts world, he looked for people with spiritual roots in the secular world, and immortal cultivation resources and treasures lost in the secular world. Therefore, Lu Changsheng felt that he might be able to use Hong Yi in the future. Apart from anything else, at least he could purchase some immortal cultivation materials and resources through Hong Yi, without having to go out himself. And, as the number of children increased, Lu Changsheng also realized a problem. It seemed that the speed at which he gave birth to children was a bit fast. Originally, he thought that he would send his children to the secular world after they were more than 10 years old. But Lu Changsheng found that at his own rate of childbearing, by the time Lu Pinggan's first batch of children were in their teens, he would have 70, 80, or even nearly 100 children. It didn't matter if he had many children. With his current conditions, he could afford to raise as many as he wanted. The problem was that his situation had never occurred in Qingzhu Valley. Some time ago, the housekeeper Lu Bo came to talk to him and hinted that it was okay to have children, but he asked Lu Changsheng to take it easy. In the past, Lu Yuanding said that the children should be sent away at the age of 6, but it didn't matter if they were kept for 3 to 5 years or older. But with so many children, he estimated that if he wanted to keep the children in Qingzhu Valley until they were in their teens, the Lu family would most likely not agree. So Lu Changsheng also thought about making the relationship with Hong Yi more stable. When the children were released to the secular world, in addition to Li Fiayu's Red Whale Gang, he could also ask Hong Yi to help take care of them. After all, compared with the Red Whale Gang, the path of Hong Yi Ruai Haofu was obviously more stable. As for placing the children in the secular family of the Lu family, Lu Changsheng was not willing to do so. He was worried that his children would be brainwashed and instilled with a lot of family ideas related to the Lu family while growing up in the Lu family. In a blink of an eye, another 2 months passed. Lu Changsheng's 18th and 19th children were born. As expected, both children had no spiritual roots. After the birth of these 2 children, Lu Changsheng was very much looking forward to the next child, who would be born in about a month. Because that was his 20th child. According to his speculation about the system achievement, the number 20 might trigger the system achievement reward. Looking at the clear and cool autumn weather outside, Lu Changsheng took 2 babies in each hand and took a walk in the backyard. In the yard, his eldest son Lu Pinggan, who was 3 years old and 4 years old, was chasing the 9 Nether Mastiff with a few little ones. The 9 Nether Mastiff, which had been raised for more than a year, had grown a lot. It is more than 1 foot tall, with hair as black as ink, as smooth and shiny as silk, with sharp fangs growing out of its mouth, and the scarlet vertical mark between its eyebrows is breathtaking. Lu Changsheng estimated that even ordinary warriors would not be a match for the current 9 Nether Mastiff. The demon beast with the blood of the heavenly rank is no joke. However, facing the human cubs of such an age that people hate dogs, even the 9 Nether Mastiff, which has a trace of true spirit blood, can only keep running away and running around under the pursuit of the cubs. When seeing the human cubs fall, they have to go back and help them up. It is under pressure that it should not have at this age. Compared with Lu Pinggan, the second child Lu Wuyu and his sister Lu Wuyu are much quieter, watching their brothers, sisters and sisters running around. Lu Changsheng looked at the children playing in the yard, his wife holding a baby, and his pregnant wife, and a faint smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. Isn't what he pursues this kind of simple life of cultivating immortals, accompanying his wives, concubines and children, and leisurely, peaceful and happy? However, Lu Changsheng clearly knew that in this world, this peaceful, happy, and beautiful life, belonged to bubbles that would burst at the touch of a button. One must have strength to protect this peaceful and beautiful life. That's why I have to work hard to protect this peaceful and beautiful life and make the future life better and better. Lu Changsheng said to himself. In a blink of an eye, a month passed. The 20th child that Lu Changsheng had been looking forward to was finally born. This child was born, and still had no spiritual roots. But the system prompt that he had been looking forward to sounded. Congratulations to the host for reaching 20 offspring, and you get a chance to draw a lottery. It really paid off. Lu Changsheng was very surprised when he heard the system prompt. After settling the child, Lu Changsheng went to the study and started his 5th lottery. System, I want to draw a lottery. Lu Changsheng muttered silently. Immediately, the familiar lottery plate appeared in front of him. I wonder if I can draw a cultivation method this time. Lu Changsheng looked at the lottery plate and thought to himself. At this stage, what he wanted most was a good cultivation method. After all, a tall building starts from the ground, and the foundation must be laid firmly. If there is a good cultivation method, He can reach a higher level in terms of both foundation and cultivation speed. It is better than this rubbish Huinggong. Changsheng was very worried that when he reaches a higher level in the future, he will suffer because his initial stage of cultivation method is too lousy, resulting in an unstable and unsolid foundation, which is not as strong as others. Without any random thoughts, Changsheng took a deep breath and said, "Start the lottery." Immediately, golden light appeared on the light red roulette wheel and turned rapidly. After a moment, the golden light slowed down, and under Changsheng's expectant eyes, it stopped at the cultivation method. Chapter 40, The Art of Refining the Body. Ling. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the 100 Refining Treasure Body Art. The reward has been distributed to the system space, and the host can check it at any time. A crystal jade book pattern emerged, accompanied by the system prompt sound. 100 Refining Treasure Body Art. Is this a body refining technique? Changsheng's face just showed joy, and his face froze again. Although he wanted to practice the technique, he wanted a key refining technique, not a body refining technique. Among immortal cultivators, there is also a saying of body refining, which is called body cultivation. Compared with magic cultivation, body cultivation can greatly make up for the problem that cultivators have weak survival ability and weak close combat in the early stage. But compared with magic cultivation, body cultivation is more time-consuming, labor-intensive and money-consuming. Most cultivators simply don't have the time, energy and financial resources to practice a body refining technique and practice both magic and body. After all, for most immortal cultivators, cultivation, magic weapons, and magical powers are the kingly way. Physical strength and so on are just about enough. As an immortal cultivator, who would fight with you in close combat? Physical training has a big advantage in the early stage of training. Alice, the first technique I drew was an auxiliary technique, and now I have another one for body training. Is it so difficult to get a key training technique? Changsheng shook his head and sighed. But let's just use the body training technique, it's better to have more skills. Besides, the body is the capital of revolution. Other immortal cultivators don't train their bodies much, but the route I will take in the future does require me to train my physical body well. Changsheng took a deep breath. He naturally didn't dislike the body training technique. It's just that relatively speaking, he wanted more key training techniques at this stage. However, as an immortal cultivator with 4 wives and 6 concubines, who will have more wives and concubines in the future, he felt that he did have a need for body training and needed to improve his physical body well. Immediately, Changsheng opened the system space and checked the technique he had obtained. Kung Fu, Bailian Baodiju, Grade, Authentic Grade. Description: a technique inherited from Qingzhu Mountain, which uses natural materials and treasures to forge the flesh, blood, meridians, and bones of the human body, making the body like a magic weapon, indestructible, and possessing different magical powers. Hiss. It's actually an authentic grade technique. Changsheng was shocked when he saw the grade of the technique. Kung Fu is divided into elementary, advanced, exquisite, side door, and authentic. The authentic grade is the highest grade technique he knows so far. He was extremely surprised when he got the Xianzi Judy 4, which was a side door technique. He thought the system could only draw side door techniques. Unexpectedly, this time he was given an authentic grade technique. I can only say that the system is awesome. Later, when he saw the description of Bailian Baodiju, Changsheng couldn't help but take a breath. It uses natural materials and treasures to forge the flesh, blood, meridians, and bones of the human body, making the body like a magic weapon, and possessing different magical powers. Just by looking at this description, you can tell how extraordinary this technique is, and how terrifying it is after it is cultivated to perfection. However, refining the body like a magic weapon will not make you infertile, right? A question suddenly occurred to Changsheng. He stayed at Qingzhu Mountain every day, so he liked to read books when he had nothing to do. The books he read were very diverse. I remember reading in an ancient book that many techniques that seemed more powerful had side effects. For example, after practicing, a man's body became a woman's appearance, he could not have children, or his personality and mind were affected by the technique, etc. If there were such side effects, he would never practice it. Without any random thoughts, Changsheng's mind moved slightly and he used the 100 Refining Treasure Body technique. Immediately, the content of the 100 Refining Treasure Body technique, the method of cultivation, The detailed tricks and other information flooded into Lu Changsheng's mind like a revelation. After a long time, Lu Changsheng opened his eyes and breathed a sigh of relief. This technique is extremely profound. If the system had not directly passed the technique to his mind, he would have been able to comprehend it directly. Even if this kind of authentic level technique is placed in front of him, it is difficult for him to comprehend it. Even if he comprehends it, it is very easy to have problems when practicing it without guidance. As for the side effects he just thought of, after thoroughly comprehending this 100 refining treasure body technique, he also knew that he was overthinking. The authentic level technique is the authentic Zunman, and it is magnificent. This level of technique, except for the high threshold and difficulty in practice, basically has no side effects. But the more powerful the technique, the more difficult it is to practice. Lu Changsheng also sighed. The practice method of this 100 refining treasure body technique sounds very simple. With the help of natural materials and treasures, the human body's flesh, blood, meridians and bones are used as magic weapons to refine. In this process, the whole body can be refined into a supreme magic weapon at once, or it can be practiced slowly separately. But the final success is to refine the whole body into an indestructible body that is comparable to the Tongshan Lingbao. When you raise your hands and feet, you will have a magical power that shakes the world. But it is very difficult and resource-consuming to practice this technique. From the very beginning of cultivation, one must use natural materials and treasures to nourish the body. When the body adapts, one must use higher-level natural materials and treasures to temper and forge the body. The body is advanced step by step, and can be comparable to magic tools, spiritual tools, magic treasures, spiritual treasures, and all sky spiritual treasures. This process not only consumes resources, but is also very dangerous, and one must not be greedy or reckless. Once it is too radical, a slight mistake can easily make the body unable to withstand the effect of the sacrifice, causing the body to collapse and die. After all, refining the body into various magic weapons is itself an incredible and extremely unnatural act, and the process is naturally extremely dangerous. But I have thoroughly comprehended this 100 refining treasure body art. As long as I am not impatient and practice slowly, there will be no problem. Moreover, although this 100 refining treasure body art is difficult to practice, there is a secret method in it that can be used to take shortcuts. It is to directly condense the magic weapon into the body, and use the magic weapon to feed back and nourish oneself. If it is an ordinary cultivator, it is naturally impossible to use magic weapons to refine the body. After all, the average Jinden's Henrin has at most 1 or 2 magic weapons. But I have a system. In the system lottery plate, even authentic level exercises can be drawn. In the magic weapon rewards, I should also be able to draw magic weapons, or even spiritual treasures. If I can draw a magic weapon in the future, I can use it to practice this 100 refining treasure body art, and I can quickly get started and make rapid progress in body refining. Lu Changsheng thought to himself, his eyes flickering. Although this technique is difficult and the threshold is extremely high, but in Lu Changsheng's opinion, it is still very good and very suitable for him. Immediately, Lu Changsheng walked out of the study and came to the practice room. He took out a piece of black iron as big as a pot lid and tried to practice the 100 refinements of treasure body art. This piece of iron was the shield magic weapon he had obtained from the 3 robbery cultivators in Qingzhu Mountain. This shield magic weapon was damaged and deformed under the attack of the talisman gold brick, and all the restrictions inside were damaged. It could only be sold as scrap. But this scrap can be used to make magic weapons, which can be regarded as a treasure from heaven and earth. Lu Changsheng sat cross-legged, holding the shield, and began to practice the method of 100 refinements of treasure body art. Under the flow of spiritual power, his palm gradually turned red, absorbing the essence of the material of the shield magic weapon in his hand to warm his body. This shield is refined with cold black iron. Lu Changsheng absorbed the essence of the material and felt a trace of coldness entering his body. After practicing for an hour, Lu Changsheng stopped practicing and let out a long breath. Although I have reached the 3rd level of key refining, I have no foundation in the physical body. 1 hour of practice is enough. If it takes longer, it will easily hurt the body. Moreover, the material of this shield belongs to the metal element, which is cold. If you keep using this material to practice the 100 refining treasure body art, it is easy to cause hidden injuries. It is best to buy 5 element spiritual materials to harmonize yin and yang and the 5 elements. Lu Changsheng stood up and stretched his muscles slightly. During the practice of the body refining method, it is very easy to cause wear and tear on the physical body, resulting in some subtle hidden injuries that are difficult to detect. Lu Changsheng, who has thoroughly comprehended the 100 refining treasure body art in the way of body refining, naturally knows how to practice this method to maximize the benefits and not hurt the body. Chapter 41 Hong Yi's Gift. On this day, Lu Changsheng was chatting with his wife and concubines when a servant came to report to him. He said that someone outside wanted to see him and took out a token. When Lu Changsheng saw the token, he immediately knew that the people from Hong Yi had arrived. He returned to the study, took out a brocade box that had been prepared with talismans, and walked out of the yard. It was impossible for the people from Hong Yi to enter Qingzhu Mountain casually and wait outside. When Lu Changsheng came to the outside of Qingzhu Mountain, he immediately saw a luxurious carriage parked not far away. There was a flag on the carriage with 3 big characters Ruai Hao written on it. A group of strong men with agile figures, vigorous breath, dressed in black clothes, and carrying long swords and crossbows were arranged around. They all rode a strong horse that was 10 feet long, 8 feet tall, with black hair and agile limbs. The leader of this group was the tall Hong Yi, who was dressed in brocade clothes. Lu Changsheng didn't expect that Hong Yi would come in person this time and make such a big scene. The black-clad sturdy men beside him were all martial arts masters by their appearance and aura. But Lu Changsheng could understand. This was their first transaction, so Hong Yi naturally showed some importance. Moreover, this transaction was worth hundreds of spirit stones. For the Ruai Marcus mansion, so many spirit stones were probably not a small amount, and they were not comfortable with just letting anyone bring them over. Brother Lu, long time no see. When Hong Yi saw Lu Changsheng coming out, he immediately came forward to greet him with a warm and generous face. He wore a purple gold crown and a purple brocade dress, and looked more graceful and majestic than before. Brother Hong, I didn't expect to bother you to come in person this time. Lu Changsheng also smiled and came forward. I don't have anything to do, so I came here by myself. And to be honest with you, Brother Lu, this is the first time I've done such a big business, so I feel more at ease coming here by myself. Otherwise, if something unexpected happens on the way back and forth, I can only go back to see my father with my head. Hong Yi shook his head and smiled bitterly, saying half-truthfully, Ruai Marcus Mansion has some foundation, but not much. If it loses hundreds of spirit stones, it will be very painful. Ha ha ha, Brother Hong, you are joking. Your father entrusted this matter to you, which shows that he trusts you. Lu Changsheng said. While speaking, he took out the brocade box containing talismans from the storage bag and handed it to Hong Yi. Brother Hong, these are the talismans you want. Among them, there are 20 firebomb talismans, 20 water shield talismans, 20 evil spirit talismans, 20 earth escape talismans, and 20 rejuvenation talismans. Please count them. As for the price, it is 20% lower than the market price as we said before, so there are a total of 112 spirit stones, and 110 will be enough. Lu Changsheng said. There are a total of 100 talismans in the brocade box. According to the market price, it is 140 spirit stones. However, Lu Changsheng had agreed with Hong Yi before that it would be 20% lower than the market price. After all, it is a stable long-term shipping channel and it is not too much to give a 20% market preferential price. Besides, Lu Changsheng has so many talismans on him now. If he can sell them safely and stably, he is willing to do so even if it is a few percent cheaper. After all, the cost of drawing talismans is very low. Most of the materials are left over from making talismans for the Lu family, and only a small part of the materials are purchased by himself for the sake of appearance. Hong Yi took the brocade box, opened it and looked at the 5 stacks of talismans inside, and a hint of joy appeared in his eyes. As long as he takes this batch of talismans back, his position in Ruai Marcus Mansion will be completely stable. If Lu Changsheng can provide medium-quality talismans stably, then the position of the prince will not be so far away. Okay, I naturally trust Brother Lu. Hong Yi did not check it carefully, and closed the brocade box again after a few glances. Then he took out 112 spirit stones from the storage bag and handed them to Lu Changsheng. Thank you, Brother Hong. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng did not care about the 2 spirit stones and accepted them happily. Brother Lu, you are too polite. I should be the one to thank you. I came here this time and prepared a gift for Brother Lu. Hong Yi smiled and waved his hand, then looked at the carriage and clapped his hands. Gift. Lu Changsheng was surprised. Beside the carriage, a sturdy man who could vaguely be seen as a woman opened the curtain of the carriage. Then, a crisp bell rang from the carriage. A red-haired woman with beautiful green eyes, deep eyes and a raised nose, white and moist skin, a very beautiful appearance, and an exotic style leaned out of the carriage. The woman covered her face and hair with a red veil, and wore a red dress with a belly exposing tube top, revealing her white swan neck, delicate collarbone, and flat belly. Her beautiful and white jade arms slightly lifted the red long skirt, and she bent her convex and curvy figure, with an exquisite and charming figure, stepped out of the skirt with a leg of amazing length, stepped down from the carriage, and stepped lightly on the ground with her toes. Her thighs were plump and firm, her calves were long and strong, and she was not wearing shoes or socks. Her 10 smooth toes were smeared with red flower juice, which matched her fair skin. On her delicate and bony ankles, she also wore a pair of golden foot rings with 2 small bells hanging on them, making a ding-dong sound. After the exotic red-haired woman got off the carriage, she bowed to Lu Changsheng gracefully, looking like a charming fox. Then, another crisp bell sounded in the carriage. A woman who looked very similar to the red-haired woman, with a high nose and deep eyes, and very exotic, walked down from the carriage. Unlike the red-haired woman, this woman's hair and pupils were Aussie blue. Compared with the red-haired woman's beauty and enchantment, her facial expression seemed a little indifferent, giving people a feeling of coldness and seduction. The 2 women look very similar, but their pupils, hair color, dress, and temperament are very different. Standing side by side, they give people a different sense of surprise. Then, 2 women with long legs and exotic styles walked towards Lu Changsheng with their long legs in completely different styles. Their steps were light, fair and tender, and they danced gracefully. Their rosy bare feet painted with nail polish stepped on the ground without a trace of dust. Lu Changsheng could see at a glance that the 2 women had martial arts skills. This is to transport the internal force to the feet, so they cannot be stained with dust. Jier greets the master. Shuir greets the master. The 2 women came to Lu Changsheng and bowed. One voice was like the soft Wu dialect, full of temptation. The other voice was like a cold ice spring, but it aroused the desire in his heart. Hearing the 2 women calling him master, Lu Changsheng raised his eyebrows slightly. Just now, when he saw the 2 women getting off the carriage, he vaguely guessed what the gift was. But at this moment, he confirmed that the gift Huang Yi was talking about was the 2 women in front of him. I have to admit that the 2 women are indeed very beautiful, very attractive, and can arouse people's desire. Especially the 2 have similar appearances, but their temperaments and styles are completely different, which makes people feel a little more amazing at first sight. Lu Changsheng couldn't help but think of the Lu Miaoj sisters he saw at the Xuxin Lake of the Lu family. The 2 also look similar, but their personalities and temperaments are completely different. But the problem is, how can you give gifts to girls? Although this kind of thing is normal in this world. But when facing this kind of thing, Lu Changsheng still feels weird and a little awkward. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42, Lu Changsheng is going to take another concubine? Brother Lu, I heard from Brother Li that you have no other hobbies, and you only love beauties in your life. So I came here this time and specially prepared 2 beauties for you. I spent a lot of money to buy these 2 from Beiyu Tower. Brother Lu, you can rest assured that both of them are innocent and no one has touched them. And under the guidance of Beiyu Tower, both of them practiced a Qi Nu Pei Yuan Gong. Yuan Yin has the effect of nourishing Yuan and replenishing Yang. Once they lose their virginity, they will be loyal to you wholeheartedly. At this time, Hong Yi spoke to Lu Changsheng, with a look on his face that all men understand. When Lu Changsheng heard Hong Yi's words, the corners of his mouth twitched. What do you mean by only loving beauties in your life? How could you be a person who is obsessed with women? He clearly had a lofty ambition. He aimed to live forever and become an immortal. Marrying a wife and having children is just to live better in this world and work towards this goal. Alice. This made Lu Changsheng sigh in his heart. He felt that no one in the world could understand him. But there was no other way. His lofty ambitions were destined not to be revealed in front of the world and not to be understood by everyone. Hide your cleverness in clumsiness, use obscurity to show clarity, conceal clarity in turbidity, and use bending to stretch. Only those who can endure the hardships can become immortals. Lu Changsheng looked at the two women in front of him, who were tall and proud, and several points taller than himself. Although very tempting, Lu Changsheng didn't really want to accept them. After all, both women had no spiritual roots. Now that he had 10 wives and concubines, he was thinking about marrying wives and concubines in the future, and trying to take the route of eugenics. That is, to find a woman with spiritual roots to give birth to a baby. Otherwise, if he kept giving birth like this, not only would the children born have basically no spiritual roots, but it would also affect his daily practice. However, people have come to deliver them, so they can't be taken back again, right? He didn't want to reject Hong Yi's intentions and hurt their friendship. Moreover, looking at the two women in front of him, he also wanted to challenge his weaknesses and experience the exotic customs. After all, there are so many temptations in this world. If you don't sharpen yourself now, how can you resist greater temptations in the future? Lu Changsheng pondered for a moment and said, Brother Hong, are they willing? Brother Lu, please rest assured. Both of them are orphans adopted by Baiyu Tower. They have been raised since childhood and there is no problem. I, Hong Yi, can't do such a thing that hurts the world. Hong Yi naturally knew what Lu Changsheng meant by asking this. Okay, in this case, I will accept this gift from these two people. But we don't need to do this for our friendship. Don't do this again in the future. Lu Changsheng heard this and nodded. Of course, just this time, just this time. Hong Yi smiled and nodded. Looking at Hong Yi's smile, Lu Changsheng always felt that the latter would do it again in the future. Brother Hong has come from afar. Logically, I should invite Brother Hong in for a cup of tea. But it would be very troublesome to bring outsiders into Qingzhu Mountain. So I won't invite Brother Hong in as a guest. Next time we trade, you can go to a nearby city and have someone send a message to me. Lu Changsheng said. It's okay for ordinary people to enter Qingzhu Mountain, but it's very troublesome to bring outsiders in. I understand. Hong Yi nodded, understanding this very much and not caring at all. He said to Lu Changsheng, but I may not come in person next time. If it's convenient for Brother Lu, you can prepare a batch of talismans every few months, so I don't have to worry too much when I send someone over. He came in person this time, not only because it was the first time for the two to trade, but also because the number of talismans was a bit too much and he was a little worried. Okay, Brother Hong can send someone over every 3 months in the future. I can provide about 30 talismans each time. Lu Changsheng said after a little thought. This time he took out 100 talismans, which can be said to have been stored for a long time. But in the future, 10 talismans a month is about the same. Even if the Lu family knew about it, they would not say anything. Okay, no problem. Hong Yi was immediately delighted when he heard this. 10 talismans a month was already very good in his opinion. By the way, Brother Hong, I have another thing I want to trouble you with. Lu Changsheng suddenly thought of his cheat brother-in-law Chu Changsheng. For a year, there was no news from the Red Whale Gang. He felt that Chu Changsheng was in danger. But he still wanted to find him, at least to get some news and give Chu Zhansheng a reply. What is it, Brother Lu? Please tell me. Hong Yi was serious when he heard this. I just want you to help find someone. Lu Changsheng spoke and told Hong Yi the information about Chu Changsheng. At the same time, he also told Hong Yi about Chu Zhansheng's affairs, asking Hong Yi to be careful. After all, Chu Zhansheng's family was killed, and this matter may also involve a cultivator. Although he felt that this cultivator should not be very good, he still had to be careful. Brother Lu, rest assured. Leave this to me. Hong Yi nodded in response after listening. In his opinion, this matter was not too troublesome or too dangerous. After all, the Ruai Marcus Mansion was also a force in the secular world. Facing a secular casual cultivator, there was still some confidence. Moreover, friendship was something that needed more exchanges. Now that Lu Changsheng was willing to sell talismans to him, he could have a wider network of contacts in the future. If he had more ways, it would not be certain. Therefore, as long as it was not particularly dangerous, he was willing to interact more with Lu Changsheng to consolidate and deepen the relationship. Then I'll trouble you, Brother Hong. Lu Changsheng bowed slightly. Brother Lu, you are too polite. In this case, I won't delay you. Next time I have time, I will invite Brother Lu and Brother Li to get together." Hong Yi also bowed and prepared to go back early. "Have a good trip." Lu Changsheng nodded. He immediately took the two women back to Qingzhu Mountain. The disciples stationed at Qingzhu Mountain saw Lu Changsheng go out and bring two girls back, and didn't say much. They just asked him to report to Uncle Fu. Soon, when Lu Changsheng brought the two girls to Qingzhu Mountain Villa, he reported to Uncle Fu. Along the way, he was seen by many Lu family disciples. Is Lu Changsheng going to take another concubine? He has already married 10 women, why is he taking another concubine? Hiss, to be honest, these two women are really attractive. From their appearance, they look a bit like people from the western regions. I read in ancient books that some people from the western regions are known as descendants of gods and demons. Not only do they have different colored eyes, but they even have horns on their heads, eyes between their eyebrows, and wings and tails. What descendants of gods and demons? They are just hybrids of humans and demons. I heard from my grandfather that there are hundreds or even thousands of countries in the western regions, and humans and demons live together in many countries. I suddenly envy Lu Changsheng's life. The road to immortality is difficult. It's not a bad choice to enjoy yourself while you are young. How can you have such a self-degrading idea? We are cultivators, practicing with all our heart. How can we indulge in beauty and pleasure? Humph, women will only affect the speed of my cultivation. That's right, that's giving up on oneself, it's a waste's choice. How can we learn from him? Woo woo woo. We are just average talents. If we choose to fall, we will give up on ourselves. No matter how carefree he is now, he will regret it when he looks back in 20 or 30 years. These Lu family members spoke, with envy, jealousy, unwillingness and disdain in their tone. Uncle Fu saw that Lu Changsheng brought back two women from somewhere again, and he didn't know what to say for a while. But seeing that they were just ordinary women, he didn't say much, but just sighed that being young is good, and asked Lu Changsheng to pay more attention to his health and not delay his work. However, he still reminded Lu Changsheng not to bring people in all the time, otherwise it would have a bad impact. Lu Changsheng nodded in response to this. He couldn't help but think in his heart that it seemed that he should show his ability as a first-level middle-grade talisman master. Otherwise, if he continued like this, the Lu family would probably have opinions about his behavior. After completing the report to Uncle Fu, Lu Changsheng stopped by Li Fiayu's house and chatted with Li Fiayu. Not long after he came back last time, Li Fiayu broke through to the third level of key refining. But now the Lu family has begun to urge him to have a baby. Under such circumstances, Li Fiayu also took in 4 concubines. Now he has 3 children, and 2 concubines are pregnant. During the chat, Li Fiayu said that he was just joking with Hong Yi about sending women, and he never thought that Hong Yi would really send them. He also looked at the 2 women sent by Hong Yi, and said that the practice they practiced was the furnace and cauldron charm. Otherwise, it would be impossible to have the effect of nourishing the essence and replenishing yang, and being loyal to people after losing one's virginity. The Beiyu Tower is probably an organization that specializes in cultivating furnaces and cauldrons for dignitaries and even immortals. Hong Yi probably spent a lot of money to send this wave of gifts. After hearing what Li Fiayu said, Lu Changsheng felt much more relieved about the 2 women. He immediately took the 2 women back to his residence in Qingzhu Valley. Seeing that Lu Changsheng went out and brought back 2 charming foreign women, the wives and concubines in the backyard, even if they were dignified and virtuous, felt a little jealous, and Lu Changsheng coaxed them for a while. Chapter 43, Intermediate Grade Talisman Master. A few days later, after experiencing the exotic couple sent by Hong Yi, Lu Changsheng had to admire that professional training was different. Not only was the experience excellent, but he also learned a lot of new knowledge and tricks. Moreover, the K-Nu Peiyuan Gong was indeed effective, very moist, and made him feel that his body was clearly warmed. However, the 2 women were just ordinary people after all, and the exercises they practiced were only at the martial arts level. The effect of this warming was limited and could not help his Bailian Baotiju. Otherwise, Lu Changsheng felt that he was going astray. Lu Changsheng, you have been a little indulgent these days, you can't continue like this. After enjoying a few days of revelry every night, Lu Changsheng sat by the bed, shook his head and talked to himself. He also understood why ancient emperors were obsessed with women. His original wives and concubines were all decent women. They were not like the 2 women sent by Hong Yi, who were taught how to serve people since childhood and knew so many tricks to play. But he, Lu Changsheng, had won the first place in the questioning platform of the Immortal Sect. He was devoted to the Tao, and his Tao heart was as hard as iron. How could he indulge in such beauty? Hong Yi, you actually use this to test me. Which time traveler can't stand this test? Lu Changsheng snorted and got up and dressed. Feeling that the time was about right, he drew a slightly sloppy first-level middle-grade talisman, the Fire Cloud Talisman, in the study. He went to Lu Bo and told him that he could draw first-level middle-grade talisman. Lu Bo had just returned from inspecting the spiritual field. When he heard Lu Changsheng's intention, his face was full of surprise. He looked at Lu Changsheng with some disbelief and said, "You said you can draw a middle-grade talisman." Lu Changsheng saw Lu Bo's expression and remembered that 2 years ago, he told Fu Bo that he could draw first-level talisman. Fu Bo's expression at that time was similar to Lu Bo's now. He took out the talisman he had prepared, nodded and said, "Yes, Uncle Lu, this is the first-level middle-grade talisman I drew, the Fire Cloud Talisman." Uncle Lu took the talisman and checked it. It was confirmed to be a first-level middle-grade talisman, the Fire Cloud Talisman. He couldn't help swallowing his saliva and said, "If I remember correctly, you haven't moved to Qingzhu Valley for 2 years, right? It will be 2 years and 16 days. Lu Changsheng said after thinking for a while. Tisk. Uncle Lu sighed, really not knowing what to say. As the manager of Qingzhu Valley, he naturally knew what it meant to go from a first-grade talisman master to a middle-grade talisman master in 2 years. For such a person, there are only 2 words, genius. A true talisman-making genius. Uncle Lu pondered for a moment and said, "Lu Changsheng, can you draw another Fire Cloud Talisman for me to see now?" He naturally believed that Lu Changsheng could not have lied about such a thing. But this matter was really a bit shocking, and he couldn't help but want to see it in person to confirm and verify it. "No problem. But my success rate of making the Fire Cloud Talisman is not high now." Lu Changsheng nodded after hearing this. He came to the table nearby, took out a set of talisman-making tools from the storage bag, spread out the talisman paper, and prepared to make the talisman. Lu Bo stood quietly by the side, watching Lu Changsheng holding the golden talisman pen and starting to draw the Fire Cloud Talisman. He could see that Lu Changsheng's hand was very steady, especially steady, and the spiritual power on the talisman pen was also very steady. It was just that when he was outlining the talisman lines, he didn't seem to be skilled enough. Every time he was outlining the turning point, there would be some bumps and the spiritual power was unstable. At this time, the talisman paper that Lu Changsheng had outlined most of the talisman lines on suddenly poofed and emitted green smoke. Failed. Lu Bo did not make a sound to disturb Lu Changsheng. He watched Lu Changsheng take out another piece of talisman paper and start drawing. Just like this, after 4 failed performances, Lu Changsheng finally succeeded in drawing the Fire Cloud Talisman under Lu Bo's watchful eyes. Seeing the scene of the talisman, Lu Bo let out a long sigh of relief, still a little bit unbelievable. Lu Bo. Lu Changsheng also let out a long sigh and looked at Lu Bo with some fatigue. Although it was acting, drawing so many talismans consumed a lot of his spiritual power and mind. With his current cultivation level of the 3rd level of key refining, he can only draw 5 or 6 of these medium-grade talismans a day at most. More than that is a bit too much. Changsheng, thank you for your hard work. When Lu Bo saw Lu Changsheng like this, he remembered that he was only at the 3rd level of key refining. Drawing 4 talismans at once must have consumed a lot of spiritual power and mind. He immediately took out a jade green bamboo tube from the storage bag and handed it to Lu Changsheng, saying, "This is the jade bamboo wine I brewed myself. Try it. It has the effect of nourishing the body and relieving fatigue." "Thank you, Lu Bo." Lu Changsheng took the bamboo tube and opened the bamboo lid. Inside was a turquoise crystal liquid, exuding a mellow and rich aroma of wine. Spiritual wine? Lu Bo, are you a winemaker? Lu Changsheng could tell at a glance that this jade bamboo wine was a kind of spiritual wine. Among the 100 arts of cultivating immortals, there is a skill called winemaking, which can brew spiritual wine for cultivators to drink. The effect of spiritual wine is somewhat similar to that of elixirs, but in terms of the types of effects, spiritual wine is far less than elixirs. However, compared with elixirs, Spiritual wine is better in taste and can be used to entertain guests and adjust the atmosphere. And the effect is milder than elixirs, basically non-toxic, without sequelae, unlike elixirs that have erysipelas, and even antibodies will appear if eaten too much. Haha, I can't be considered a winemaker, but I just like this, so I learned to brew this kind of spiritual wine. Lu Bo smiled and waved his hand. Lu Changsheng nodded, took a sip of the bamboo wine, and tasted the taste. He found that the taste of this jade bamboo wine was very good, not spicy at all, and it was a light and mellow taste, so he couldn't help but drink 2 more sips. The bamboo wine went into his stomach, and a warm current quickly appeared in his lower abdomen, and the whole person seemed to be less tired. My wine tastes good, right? Lu Bo looked at Lu Changsheng and said with a smile. Not only good, this is the first time I've drunk such a good wine. Lu Changsheng told the truth. He usually doesn't drink much, nor does he like to drink. But he felt good after drinking this wine. Not only does it taste good, but the effect is also very good, making him clearly feel that his body is nourished. Although this wine tastes good, it has a strong after effect. You can drink 1/3 of it. If you drink more, you will get drunk. You go back and have a good rest first. I will report this to the head of the family. Lu Bo said with a smile. Lu Bo, I wonder how much of this spiritual wine you have left. Can you sell some to me? Lu Changsheng asked. He could feel that this spiritual wine had the effect of nourishing the body. If he drank it for a long time, it would be helpful for the Balian Baodiju he was practicing now. Moreover, this spiritual wine has the effect of relieving fatigue. If you are tired of making talismans, or at night, you can drink some spiritual wine to add some atmosphere. I don't have much of this jade bamboo wine, I just brew it for myself. Lu Bo shook his head and said, but this jade bamboo wine is made from the jade spiritual bamboo that our Lu family grows. The 5th elder brews a batch every year and sells it. If you want to buy it, you can go to the 5th elder to buy it. He has other different spirit wines. Lu Bo said. 5th elder. Thank you, Lu Bo. Lu Changsheng nodded after hearing this. He planned to visit the 5th elder later to see if he could buy some spirit wine. Lu Changsheng said goodbye and left. Lu Bo also went out to report the matter to Lu Yunding. Chapter 44. My daughter is also a good match for Lu Changsheng. Qingzhu Valley, a mountain villa. What? Lu Changsheng was promoted to first-class middle-grade talisman master. I remember that it has only been 2 years since he became an entry-grade talisman master. Lu Yunding, who was handling affairs, heard Lu Bo coming to report. He was surprised that Lu Changsheng was able to draw first-class middle-grade talisman and was promoted to a middle-grade talisman master. During this time, he did not pay much attention to Lu Changsheng's progress in making talismans. He only knew that the talisman-making tasks assigned to Lu Changsheng every month were completed perfectly. Unexpectedly, Lu Changsheng could actually draw first-class middle-grade talisman and become a first-class middle-grade talisman master from an entry-grade talisman master. Yes, master, there are still 16 days from Lu Changsheng becoming an entry-grade talisman master to 2 years. When I heard the news, I couldn't believe it, and I asked Lu Changsheng to draw a fire cloud talisman in front of me. This is a first-class middle-grade talisman drawn by Lu Changsheng, the fire cloud talisman. Lu Bo nodded, took out a talisman, and said so. He guessed that Lu Yunding would be very surprised and somewhat unbelieving after hearing the news. That's why he asked Lu Changsheng to draw a fire cloud talisman in front of him. It is indeed a mid-grade talisman, the fire cloud talisman. Lu Changsheng's talent in making talismans is really. Lu Yunding took a deep breath and then slowly exhaled. He didn't know how to describe Lu Changsheng's talent in making talismans. From a novice who had never been exposed to talisman making, he explored it by himself and became an entry-grade talisman master in a year and a half. Then, in almost 2 years, he went from an entry-grade talisman master to a first-grade mid-grade talisman master. This is amazing. You know, his eldest daughter, Lu Miaoj, is very talented in making talismans. But it took almost 3 years for her to be promoted from a first-grade low-grade talisman master to a mid-grade talisman master. Moreover, compared with Lu Changsheng, Lu Miaoj not only has better conditions, but also has the guidance and instruction of a wise master. Such a comparison simply makes Lu Changsheng's talent in making talismans even more amazing. If Lu Changsheng knew that it was so difficult for a first-class low-grade talisman master to be promoted to a middle-grade talisman master, and Lu Maioju had spent 3 years, he would probably have to wait another year or so. He was thinking that it only took him a year and a half to go from a novice to an entry-grade talisman master, and now it took 2 years to be promoted to a middle-grade talisman master, which was about the same. Okay, you go and inform the elders of this matter, and tell them to hold a small meeting tomorrow. See what they think and arrange for Lu Changsheng. Lu Yuanding put down the fire cloud talisman in his hand, tapped his fingers on the table, and ordered. Compared to an entry-grade talisman master, a first-class middle-grade talisman master is already worthy of the Lu family's attention. Especially Lu Changsheng's talent for making talismans now. If nothing unexpected happens, there is a high probability that he will become a second-class talisman master in the future. A second-class talisman master, even a foundation-building great cultivator, has to give some face. Alice, it's a pity that Lu Changsheng is not of my Lu family bloodline. After all, he is a foreigner. Lu Yuanding sighed deeply. Even though he always told Lu Changsheng that he was his own people, his own family. But after all, he is not of the Lu family bloodline, and cannot be completely treated as one of our own. Qingzhu Valley, Qingzhu Hall. In the simple and elegant meeting room, the incense burner slowly lit up the incense. Lu Yuanding sat in the main seat, and several Lu family leaders and elders sat on both sides of the long table. I think you elders should have some information about this Lu Changsheng. I wonder what you think. Lu Yuanding looked at the elders and said, "This boy has such a talent for making talismans. He has the potential to become a second-level talisman master in the future. He should be used by our Lu family and must not be allowed to leave our Lu family." One of the gray-haired old men said. He is the eldest elder of the Lu family, with the strength of peak training, responsible for the family finances and assisting the head of the family in managing the family. Head, this boy has only been in our Lu family for more than 4 years. Is he loyal to our Lu family? An old man with a thin figure and gray hair spoke. He is the third elder of the Lu family, responsible for spiritual bamboo, spiritual fields, spiritual medicines and other things. Based on Lu Changsheng's behavior over the years, it can be seen that he is a person without great ambitions and is content with a small fortune. Although he is not completely devoted to our Lu family, he has a certain sense of belonging. In addition to the previous contract, it is unlikely that Lu Changsheng will leave our Lu family at present. Lu Yuanding said. I heard that Lu Changsheng has only one hobby, which is to marry and have children. He is not satisfied with marrying 9 secular women of my Lu family. He also brought 3 women back from the secular world as his wives and concubines. One of them has spiritual roots. I think Lu Changsheng knows that he has no hope of cultivating immortals, so he puts his hope on the next generation and wants to have more children with spiritual roots. It just so happens that my little granddaughter Maya is 20 years old this year, well-behaved and sensible, and has an 8th grade spiritual root. I am willing to marry this granddaughter to Lu Changsheng. In this way, Lu Changsheng can be regarded as the real son-in-law of our Lu family. When the time comes, let my little granddaughter give birth to a few more children with spiritual roots for Lu Changsheng, and this Lu Changsheng can be regarded as completely bound to our Lu family. And this Lu Changsheng also has the surname Lu. The children born in the future can also integrate well into our Lu family and become our Lu family children. At this time, an old man with white hair and a childlike face spoke. He is the 5th elder of the Lu family, a winemaker, and is responsible for the Lu family's spiritual wine business. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of the elders and clan elders moved slightly. When Lu Yuanding, who was sitting in the main seat, heard these words, his heart was also moved. He has many children. But there are only 3 children with spiritual roots. The eldest daughter Lu Maioju is the most worry-free for him. Not only is she sensible, she practices hard, and she is also talented in making talismans. But the second daughter Lu Maioju makes him worry. Although she has a 6th grade spiritual root, she is usually more playful and doesn't pay much attention to cultivation. In addition, after he became the head of the Lu family, he neglected to discipline his children, which led to this daughter's temperament being a little arrogant. It's okay in the Lu family, with him as a father. But this arrogant temperament that has never suffered a loss, if she gets married in the future, he will be gone. It is very easy to suffer a loss. And once you suffer a loss, it is easy to suffer a big loss. Now he heard the words of the 5th elder, and suddenly he had some ideas. It's better to marry his daughter Lu Maioju to Lu Changsheng. After several contacts, Plus Fu Bo and Lu Bo's evaluation of Lu Changsheng, he also felt that Lu Changsheng was a good person. Not only is he gifted in making talismans, he is also honest and steady. Although he likes women and has more wives, concubines and children, at least he has not neglected the work of making talismans. And according to the information, he also knows that Lu Changsheng is very good to his wives, concubines and children, and he is very concerned about them. In these aspects, plus Lu Changsheng's background as a secular farmer, secular families basically have no contact with him now. Even if he lives in Qingzhu Mountain, he is considered half a Lu family member, and he is not afraid that his daughter will suffer if she marries there. As soon as this idea came out, Lu Yuanding thought more and more that it was feasible. He felt that Lu Changsheng was a good candidate for a son-in-law. Lu Changsheng has such a talent for making talismans, so he should not be wasted and should be trained well. I am also willing to marry my granddaughter Miaoyan to Lu Changsheng, and teach him talismans at the same time, so that he can completely return to my Lu family and add a second-level talisman master to my Lu family. At this time, a noble lady who looked to be in her 30s or 40s spoke. She is the fourth elder of the Lu family, a first-level top talisman master, responsible for the Lu family's talismans. I also have a granddaughter. Another gray-haired old woman spoke up. After the fifth elder spoke up, one elder after another spoke up, expressing their willingness to marry their descendants with spiritual roots to Lu Changsheng. Although the Lu family is a family, they are all family members. But there are also different branches that will consider their own interests. Like Lu Changsheng, who is considered half a Lu family member and has shown such a talent for making talismans, in the eyes of all the elders, he is naturally a delicious bun. They are very happy to marry their descendants with spiritual roots to Lu Changsheng. Because in this way, it is equivalent to tying Lu Changsheng, the future second-level talisman master, to their own branch. Even if Lu Changsheng fails to become a second-level talisman master in the future, he will not be able to escape from the first-level top talisman master. No matter what, it is a sure win. Lu Yuanding looked at the elders who kept speaking, and coughed slightly, and said, I think Miao Huan is almost of the right age, and she is quite suitable for Lu Changsheng. Chapter 45 Blind Date with a Second Miss. Qingzhu Valley. In an ancient, exquisite and elegant small building. Dad, you actually let me marry that Lu Changsheng. You know that Lu Changsheng is extremely lustful. Not only did he marry 9 women from our Lu family, he also brought women back from outside. I heard that he went out not long ago and brought 2 vixens with him. You actually let me marry such a person. An 18 or 19-year-old, beautiful face, cold and beautiful woman wearing a black gauze dress, looked at the head of the Lu family in front of her, her face angry. Huaner, although Lu Changsheng is a little sentimental, he is good in other aspects. He is a simple person and treats his wives and concubines very well. He is very considerate and caring. And yesterday, Lu Changsheng has been promoted to first-class middle-grade talisman master. He has only been in our Lu family for more than 4 years, and has only been in contact with talisman making for 3.5 years. In these 3.5 years, our Lu family has not spent any resources on him to train and teach him. Under such circumstances, he can become a first-class middle-grade talisman master so quickly, which shows that he is gifted in talisman making, far surpassing your sister. If nothing unexpected happens, he will most likely become a second-class talisman master in the future. If you marry him, Dad will be relieved in the future. Lu Yuanding was persuading his daughter earnestly. In the previous meeting, he had the idea of marrying his daughter Lu Miaohun to Lu Changsheng, and the more he thought about it, the more feasible it was. So after the meeting, he went to his daughter's residence and told her about it. He hoped to persuade his daughter to marry Lu Changsheng, a first-class middle-grade talisman master. Lu Miaohun's beautiful eyes showed some surprise when she heard this. As a young lady of the Lu family, and her sister is also a talisman master, she naturally knows how amazing it is for Lu Changsheng to become a first-class middle-grade talisman master under these conditions. It is no exaggeration to say that he is a talisman-making genius. No wonder her father asked her to marry Lu Changsheng. If Lu Changsheng can really become a second-class talisman master in the future, he will be a guest of honor wherever he goes. Even if he cannot become a second-class talisman master, becoming a first-class top-level talisman master is also extraordinary. She knows that the fourth elder who taught her sister talismans is a first-class top-level talisman master. He can create a lot of stable income for the Lu family every year and has a high status. But thinking of Lu Changsheng's deeds, when she and her sister met Lu Changsheng, the latter stared at her, and the impression left, she felt uncomfortable and unwilling. Seeing his daughter's unwilling look, Lu Yuanding sighed and continued to persuade her. Huaner, your mother passed away early, and Dad didn't care about you much or say anything to you. But in this matter, Dad is really doing it for your own good. I hope you will listen to Dad. This time, Lu Changsheng has become a first-level mid-grade talisman master, and he has performed well over the years. After discussion, our Lu family decided to marry a woman with spiritual roots to Lu Changsheng, which is also to truly absorb Lu Changsheng into our family. Many elders and clan elders want to marry their granddaughters to Lu Changsheng. Your priority opportunity was fought for by Dad. You are not young anymore, you should consider this aspect. Lu Yuanding is not the head of the Lu family at this time, but a father, and he said with a sigh. If Lu Miaohun is motivated, like Lu Miaoj, he will naturally not worry about his daughter's marriage. After all, it is normal and common for cultivators not to get married. But this Lu Changsheng is only a 9th grade spiritual root, and he has so many wives and concubines. Lu Miaohun heard her father's words, looked at her father's attitude, pursed her lips and said. She didn't expect that her father asked her to marry Lu Changsheng, and it was actually an opportunity he fought for. But after thinking about it, she could understand the reason. There are hundreds of Lu family members in Qingzhu Mountain. Although these members have spiritual roots, most of them have limited prospects and it is difficult for them to build a foundation. When they reach a certain age, many will be arranged to marry by their families and intermarry with surrounding immortal cultivation families. This is also the reason why these immortal cultivation families can develop and maintain fresh blood. Lu Changsheng entered the Lu family as a son-in-law and has been living in the Lu family. He has performed well and is considered half of the Lu family. Now that he has shown such a talent for making talismans, the elders of the clan are naturally very happy to marry a woman with spiritual roots to Lu Changsheng and completely bind Lu Changsheng to the Lu family. 9th grade spiritual roots don't matter. With Lu Changsheng's talent for making talismans, as long as our Lu family is willing to cultivate him, although there is no hope for him to build a foundation, there is still hope for him to cultivate to the late stage of key refining. A 2nd grade talisman master in the late stage of key refining will be given some face even by a great cultivator of foundation building. As for wives and concubines, you don't have to worry about that. Lu Changsheng's wives and concubines are all ordinary women now. If you marry him, you will naturally be his legal wife. Besides, with your father around, how can you suffer any loss? Seeing that his daughter was no longer so tough, Lu Yuanding struck while the iron was hot. After listening to her father's words, Lu Miaohun pursed her lips and said nothing. Thinking of Lu Changsheng, whom she had met before, she didn't seem so hateful. After all, with her charm, anyone who saw her would not be able to help but look at her a few more times, not to mention a lecher like Lu Changsheng. Seeing his daughter like this, Lu Yuanding smiled a little, knowing that his daughter had acquiesced. He immediately said in a gentle voice, well, Miaohun, Dad will invite Lu Changsheng to Xuxin Cottage tomorrow. Can you meet him? Yes. Lu Miaohun responded vaguely. Lu Changsheng was playing with the children in the backyard. Because there were so many children, he built a lot of toys in the yard. There were swings, slides, seesaws, trampolines, wooden horses, toy cars, etc. But at this time, a group of little ones were lining up to play flying with him. He used the levitation technique to let the little guys fly in the air. Or let the little guys sit on the wooden horses and toy cars, and he used the control technique to take the little guys to fly in the air, so that these little guys had a lot of fun and screamed. At this time, Lu Changsheng heard one of his wives and concubines say that Lu Bo was coming. He immediately knew that his becoming a first-level middle-grade talisman master had been replied. He asked his wives and concubines to look after the children, and he quickly went to the living room. Lu Bo. Lu Changsheng bowed slightly. Not bad, not bad. Looking at Lu Changsheng in front of him, Lu Bo suddenly nodded and praised. He hadn't paid much attention to him before, but now that he looked carefully, Lu Changsheng in front of him was also a handsome man. Lu Changsheng was a little confused by Lu Bo's expression. Lu Changsheng, the head of the family, asked you to prepare well and go to Xuxin Xiaozu for a blind date tomorrow. Lu Bo said with a smile. What? The head of the family asked me to prepare well and go to Zhuxianziazu for a blind date tomorrow. Lu Changsheng heard this and looked weird. He was still thinking about what kind of treatment he could get in the Lu family if he showed that he was a first-level middle-grade talisman master. Unexpectedly, the head of the Lu family actually asked him to go on a blind date. However, Lu Changsheng immediately realized that this blind date should not be simple. Looking at Lu Changsheng's appearance, Lu Bo smiled and said, "That's right, you have become a first-level middle-grade talisman master this time, and with your performance over the years, the head of the family is going to marry his daughter to you." Hearing Lu Bo's words, Lu Changsheng was shocked and happy at the same time. The eldest lady Lu Miaoj, who was elegant and graceful like a fairy, immediately came to his mind. But the next moment, Lu Bo's words dispelled his fantasy. "You go to see him tomorrow and behave well. As long as this is done, we will be a real family in the future. Don't you want to have a few children with spiritual roots? The second lady has a 6th grade spiritual root. If you marry the second lady, the children born in the future will also have a high probability of spiritual roots," Lu Bo said with a smile. He already had a good impression of Lu Changsheng. Now that the Lu family wants to completely absorb Lu Changsheng into their own people, he naturally has a little more closeness to Lu Changsheng and treats him as his own. Chapter 46 Blind Date. Second Miss. When Lu Changsheng heard this, he immediately knew that he was overthinking. It wasn't the eldest Miss Lu Miaoj. It was the eldest Miss's younger sister. He had met her in black silk at Zhuxian Lake. Come to think of it, Lu Miaoj is not only beautiful and talented, but also a talisman master. Under normal circumstances, how could the Lu family marry her to him? But marrying the second miss to him was also a big deal. After all, this second miss not only has a 6th grade spiritual root, but is also the daughter of the Lu family's patriarch. It seems that he has become a first-level middle-grade talisman master, and his talent in making talismans has made the Lu family prepare to invest heavily to completely tie him to the Lu family. Thinking of the pair of long legs with black silk high heels that he remembered deeply, Lu Changsheng nodded and bowed his hands and said, "Uncle Lu, I will definitely keep the appointment on time tomorrow." Even if he guessed that the Lu family wanted to deepen his ties with the Lu family and completely tie him to the Lu family, Lu Changsheng did not reject it. He was even very happy. It was not because of the appearance of this second miss, black silk high heels and long legs. It was the trip he had made 3 years ago that made him realize that this world was much more dangerous and difficult than he had imagined. With his mentality, it was difficult for him to survive in this world. Moreover, he had a family to support. Therefore, Lu Changsheng had completely let it go. Anyway, he had the system of having many children, so he would just stay at the Lu family. When he had many children and they grew up, and he broke through the foundation building stage, he would consider the future. Although he was living under someone else's roof, because of his talent in making talismans, the Lu family treated him well in the past few years after he moved to Qingzhu Valley. It was a completely upright family of immortal cultivation. It was safer than being alone outside. If he married the daughter of the head of the Lu family this time, he would not only have a wife with spiritual roots, but also be truly regarded as one of their own by the Lu family in the future. He could also stay at the Lu family with more peace of mind and no worries. As for leaving the Lu family, he still wanted to leave and be independent, but now it seemed quite far away, and Lu Changsheng was too lazy to think about it. If that time comes, the Lu family will treat him well, and he will not treat the Lu family badly if he leaves. Okay. Lu Bo patted Lu Changsheng on the shoulder affectionately and said, "The head of the family has already said it's okay with the second young lady, so as long as you behave well tomorrow, this matter will be settled, and there will be no problem." "Yes." Lu Changsheng nodded in response and sent Lu Bo out. But his mind couldn't help but think of Lu Miaoj's noble and cold temperament. Thinking of the time when he looked at the black silk for a few more times, he was scolded, "If you look at it again, I will dig out your eyes." I feel in my heart that the second young lady's temper is not easy to serve, and it's hard to say when they meet tomorrow. I hope the head of the family has really said it, and the second young lady's temper has also restrained a little, not as bad as I imagined. Otherwise, even if she is a 6th grade spiritual root and the daughter of the head of the family, it can only be forgotten. Lu Changsheng took a deep breath and exhaled, returning to the courtyard. Although he was very happy with this marriage, he would not flatter the mother of his child with a 6th grade spiritual root and beg her to marry him. Not to mention the dignity and pride in his heart, he now has 4 wives, 6 concubines and 2 concubines, and he really doesn't have that much energy to serve someone with a bad temper. Having another wife like this in the backyard can easily disrupt the balance and stability of the harem, and the husband's authority is not right. Husband, Lu Bo is here, is there any good news? At this time, a wife and concubine looked at Lu Changsheng and asked. My husband has made a breakthrough in the way of talismans recently and has been promoted to the first level middle grade talisman. So Lu Bo came to talk to me about something. Lu Changsheng said. He didn't say that Lu Bo came, but to talk about a blind date. After all, it feels very awkward to tell his wives and concubines that he is going to a blind date tomorrow. Let's talk about this matter after it is confirmed. What? My husband has been promoted to first-class middle-grade talisman master. My husband is so amazing. My husband has been promoted to a middle-grade talisman master. In the future, he can become a second-class talisman master. My husband has worked hard these days. When the wives and concubines heard this, their beautiful eyes suddenly lit up, their faces full of surprise, and they looked at Lu Changsheng with joy, their eyes full of admiration and love. Since Lu Changsheng became a talisman master, they have also learned something about talisman masters. They know that every step up is difficult. Now that Lu Changsheng has made another step forward, it means that his status and position in the Lu family will also be further improved. And they will also rely on their husbands to become noble. When the little ones heard this, although they didn't know what it meant, they saw the looks of the mothers and shouted, "Wow, Daddy is great. Daddy is so amazing." Facing this scene, Lu Changsheng smiled unconsciously. It feels really good to have wives, concubines, and children looking at him with love and admiration. It satisfies the male chauvinism very much. That night. Afterwards. Exclamation mark. Afterwards, Lu Changsheng hugged the girls who were leaning on him with tenderness. Tonight, they were particularly active and hard-working. They felt that they should pay more attention to the 100 refining treasure body art. The next morning, Lu Bo seemed to be worried that Lu Changsheng had forgotten or got up late, so he came to call him. Lu Changsheng packed up a little and walked towards Xiuxinziaozu with Lu Bo. Xiuxinziaozu is not far from Xiuxin Lake. It is surrounded by green grass and blooming flowers. The environment is very beautiful. Except for the trade fair on the first day of each month, it is very quiet and quiet at other times. The second lady will be here in a while, please wait a little. The second lady's temperament is actually quite simple. You just need to coax her more and follow her words. Lu Bo was very concerned about this matter. He explained to Lu Changsheng and then left. He went to wait outside to prevent anyone from coming nearby and affecting the blind date. After all, Lu Yuanding was very concerned about this matter and had instructions for him. Lu Changsheng nodded upon hearing this, and sat down at the stone table in the courtyard. He took out a set of purple clay tea sets, began to brew spiritual tea, and waited quietly. After about half an hour, Lu Changsheng heard a crisp, sultry, rhythmic da-da-da sound. He looked over and saw a tall, proud and cold figure like a peacock, walking towards here gracefully. It was his blind date today, Lu Maihun. Lu Maihun had obviously dressed up today, and it was obvious that she had a delicate makeup on her face. She was wearing a slim dress with a mixture of dark black and dark blue, with a little starlight flowing on it, as if she was wearing the stars in the night sky, which was very stunning. This black and blue star dress was much more conservative than the black and gold embroidered long dress he saw last time, revealing only the elegant white swan neck and half of the collarbone shoulders. But wrapped in the dress, the graceful figure with protruding front and back still made people daydream. Da-da-da, Lu Maihun came over with a graceful figure, 2 black silk legs looming in the skirt, and her jade feet under the skirt were wearing a pair of luxurious high heels that matched the dress, and the nebula-like mist made a crisp tapping sound with every step, leaving a little starlight on the spot. Lu Changsheng just watched this beautiful figure with every step, and walked slowly. After all, beauty must be appreciated. This second young lady has dressed up specially. If you turn a blind eye and don't appreciate it, wouldn't it be a waste of her kindness? It must be said that when the appearance reaches a certain level, it depends on the posture and temperament. The second young lady in front of you has a tall and graceful figure, a cold and noble face, and exudes a cold and noble temperament from the inside out. People can't help but be taken by it and feel ashamed. But at the same time, it is easy to rouse the desire to conquer. Lu Changsheng greets Miss Mayahoon. Lu Changsheng retracted his gaze, stood up, and bowed to Lu Mayahoon with a gentle face. Although the other party was stunning and attractive, and it really touched his aesthetic taste, but Lu Changsheng was also a person who had read a lot of scriptures and had been tempered a lot, so he still had the mental strength to maintain this state of mind. Thanks to the Buk Frenzingzi Jeshi for the 500-point reward, Izumo Jianri for the 300-point reward, and Yixin for the 100-point reward, thank you. Thank you. Chapter 47 Blind Date. Sorry to have kept you waiting. Lu Mayahoon's coldness disappeared a little, and she nodded slightly to Lu Changsheng. Just now, Lu Changsheng was looking at her, and she was also looking at Lu Changsheng. She didn't know if it was because they met today, and her mentality was different. She felt that Lu Changsheng in front of her was much more handsome than she remembered. His facial features were not very delicate when viewed alone, but when put together, they gave people a sense of just right and very coordinated, making the whole appearance a level higher, and it looked very pleasing to the eye and comfortable. With Lu Changsheng's warm eyes and calm temperament, she felt like a spring breeze. As a faceblog, Lu Mayahoon, who originally had some repulsion and resistance to marrying Lu Changsheng, felt that marrying Lu Changsheng was not unacceptable at this moment. Although Lu Changsheng was not talented and only had a 9th grade spiritual root, but he was gifted in making talismans, and he was so handsome, he could be regarded as both talented and beautiful. The only shortcoming was that he had too many wives and concubines. However, Lu Mayahoon was very confident in this regard. Not only was she confident in her identity and family background, but also in her own appearance and charm. She caught Lu Changsheng's gaze just now, and she was somewhat proud of it. I just arrived too. Seeing that the other party's attitude was not as bad as he thought, Lu Changsheng felt that this blind date could continue. He picked up the teapot and took the initiative to pour a cup of tea for Lu Mayahoon, saying, I didn't expect to meet Miss Mayahoon again in this way. Let me first apologize for my rudeness when I met Miss Mayahoon last time. Lu Changsheng said, holding up the teacup as if toasting. I didn't expect you still remember that incident. Hearing Lu Changsheng mention the last incident, Lu Mayahoon raised her eyebrows slightly. After all, the first time she met Lu Changsheng, it was not very pleasant. It was mainly because of Lu Changsheng's behavior and reputation at that time that she had a very bad impression. Of course I remember. How could I forget it after seeing Miss Mayahoon's peerless grace? This incident has been lingering in my heart. Every time I think of it, I can't let go of my rudeness. Now, after nearly 2 years, I finally meet Miss Mayahoon again and can express my apology in person. Lu Changsheng looked sincere and began to talk nonsense. After all, Lu Bo said so. This second young lady has a somewhat spoiled temperament, but she is still relatively simple. Just say more nice things and coax her along. If it were just like this, Lu Changsheng would still be willing to do it for the sake of the mother of a child with a 6th grade spiritual root. I have long forgotten about this matter. I was in a bad mood at the time, so my tone was a bit harsh. There is a saying that you should not hide a smiling person. Seeing Lu Changsheng's sincere face, Lu Mayahoon felt a little embarrassed. She lifted her skirt lightly, sat down elegantly, and took a sip of tea. With an opening, the two began to chat. During the chat, Lu Changsheng felt that Lu Mayahoon's personality was much better than he had imagined. Her personality was not bad at all, but she was born as a young lady from a family, and her temperament was a bit pretentious, and she had to wait for others to take the initiative. Then, the latter did not like to laugh very much. As a result, it seemed that there was always a hint of coldness on her face. In fact, it was not really that cold, and she looked like a stranger was not allowed to enter. Outside the small building, Lu Bo used the heavenly ear technique to secretly listen to the conversation between the two people inside. His old face was full of wrinkles from smiling, like a chrysanthemum. He thought to himself that it seemed that Lu Changsheng had married so many wives, and it was not for nothing. He still had something. He did not continue to eavesdrop and waited outside honestly. In his opinion, Lu Mayahoon was willing to chat with Lu Changsheng, and the matter was almost half done. Inside this huge and small building, Lu Changsheng and Lu Mayahoon sat opposite each other, sipping tea and chatting. There are indeed many fun and interesting things in the secular world, but I don't know much about this. If Miss Mayahoon is interested, Lu is willing to accompany Miss Mayahoon to take a walk and take a look. As for women, Where can you see a fury-like person like you in the secular world? Has Miss Miaohun forgotten the look of shock and loss of composure when I first saw you? Lu Changsheng continued to flatter, but his tone was neither hurried nor slow, and his eyes were very clear. Even most of the time, his eyes were not on Lu Miaohun. Lu Changsheng wanted to marry Lu Miaohun and let her give birth to a baby. But he couldn't force himself to lick her like Fiangang. And in his opinion, if he licked a woman like Lu Miaohun too much, it would be a deduction. So Lu Changsheng showed a very calm attitude. In the past 4 years in the Lu family, Lu Changsheng felt that his biggest improvement was his state of mind and mentality. The beauty of time lies in its inevitable passage: spring flowers, autumn moon, summer days, and winter snow. If you bloom, the breeze will come. If your heart is floating, smile peacefully. The system, the fairy posture secret, the second-level talisman master's skills, the 9-nether mastiff, these things make Lu Changsheng feel that he is a blooming flower. When the breeze blows, bees and butterflies will naturally come and dance around him. What's more, the emotional value that needs to be provided by a woman who lowers his posture, climbs high, and licks her in the future is also high, and it also affects the balance of the harem. He, Lu Changsheng, is destined to not spend most of his time and energy on a woman. I was with my sister at that time. You were shocked by my beauty, but didn't you feel anything when you saw my sister? Lu Miaohun's cold face showed some joy. She crossed her long legs in black stockings and high heels and asked Lu Changsheng in a rather seductive and sultry posture. Lu Changsheng stood up slightly, picked up the teapot and filled it with tea. At the same time, his eyes moved down and glanced at the crossed beautiful legs, as if telling Lu Miaohun why he was shocked by her beauty. This behavior did not disgust Lu Miaohun, but instead gave her a little secret joy in her heart. Since she was a child, her elder sister Lu Miaoj has been superior to her, and most of the elders in the family also praised Lu Miaoj. Her daily clothes and appearance would even be talked about. At this time, Lu Changsheng's frank admiring look made her feel recognized. Miss Lu Miaoj is naturally like a fairy, stunning and extraordinary. Before this, I had the honor of meeting the young lady 2 or 3 times, but I never felt as excited as you do when I met Miss Miaohun. I thought of a poem I heard before: when the golden wind and jade do meet, it is better than countless things in the world. I had this feeling when I met Miss Miaohun. Even if we only met once, it made me feel better than countless beautiful things. As Lu Changsheng spoke, he looked at Lu Miaohun with some sincerity in his eyes. When the golden wind and jade do meet, it is better than countless things in the world. This poem is really good. Did you hear it in the secular world? Lu Miaohun's beautiful eyes lit up, and her cold face showed a faint smile, like a lotus blooming. Huh? This second young lady actually likes poetry. Lu Changsheng was a little surprised. But he also remembered what Lu Bo said: this second young lady didn't care much about cultivation. She was only in her 20s now, so it was understandable that she liked this kind of thing. Yes, this is what I heard in the secular world before. The complete poem is: the thin clouds play tricks, the flying stars convey hatred. But I haven't read much, and I don't know what it means, but I think it is very applicable and fits my mood at the time. This poem also has a story. If Miss Miaohuan is interested, I will tell you. Lu Changsheng said with a smile. Okay. Lu Miaohun nodded her delicate chin. After more than 4 years, Lu Changsheng, as a time traveler, finally had a place to use the things in his mind. In this way, the two chatted for more than an hour. Lu Miaohun was very happy during the chat, and she also had a better impression of Lu Changsheng. In her heart, she was willing to marry Lu Changsheng. However, the woman's reserve and pride made her purse her lips and said, Lu Changsheng, I am very happy to chat with you today. If you can agree to a few of my requests, I agree to marry you. Please go ahead, Miss Miaohuan. Lu Changsheng smiled and nodded, as gentle as jade. If I marry you, I must be your legal wife, and after you marry me, you cannot marry a wife or a concubine. If you want to have children, you cannot force me. And Lu Miaohun suppressed her shyness, and said one condition after another with a cold face. GG. Hearing these conditions, Lu Changsheng typed GG in his heart. He immediately knew that this blind date was a failure. In fact, he felt that Lu Miaohun's conditions were okay and not too much. It was just a little girl, who had no material requirements for the spiritual requirements of yearning for love. If Lu Changsheng was just an ordinary person, An ordinary cultivator, who only wanted to spend such a life in peace and stability, these conditions would naturally not be a problem. But with a system of having many children and many blessings, Lu Changsheng was destined to be a person with great love, and it was impossible for him to give up a forest for a big tree. Although he could agree to it first and get in the car, Lu Changsheng didn't want to do that. He also disdained to do such a thing of deceiving other people's feelings. What's more, he was still under the protection of the Lu family, and if he really agreed, he would really fulfill it. Lu Changsheng understands Miss Miao Huan's intentions. But Miss Miao Huan's conditions, let me consider them for a while before I give you an answer. Lu Changsheng said with an apologetic look on his face. You still want to consider it? Lu Miao Huan was stunned for a moment, feeling a little unbelievable. In the conversation just now, Lu Changsheng showed that he liked her. In addition, she thought that since she was willing to marry Lu Changsheng should immediately show ecstasy and be overjoyed. But now, Lu Changsheng actually said that he wanted to consider it? What does this mean? Can't I marry him by begging? How could she, who was so proud, bear such grievances? Suddenly, Lu Miao Huan's cold and beautiful face became extremely cold, like a 1,000-year-old iceberg. The whole person stood up directly, with a clattering sound under his feet, and quickly left the cottage. Lu Changsheng looked at Lu Miao Huan's graceful back as she left and shook his head slightly. Such a beauty, he was not blessed enough to enjoy it for the time being. Second miss, what's wrong with you? Lu Bo, who was waiting outside the cottage, was stunned when he saw Lu Miao Huan walk out with a frosty face and leave quickly. Weren't they chatting well before? He immediately followed her quickly. Chapter 48 Lu Miao. Uncle Lu, the master is willing to marry the second young lady to me. I am flattered and extremely happy. I also like the second young lady very much, but I am not suitable for her. Lu Changsheng said to Lu Bo, who was raising an army to question him. Not only do I have so many wives and children, but when I was seeking immortality, I also swore in my heart that I would marry 100 wives and have hundreds of children in this life. And the second young lady wants a man who treats her wholeheartedly, but I can't do that, and I can't do it. So I have no fate with the second young lady. Even if I really marry the second young lady, these may become the seeds of contradiction. If contradictions arise, I will be ashamed of the master's cultivation of me, and I will have no face to face the master. Lu Changsheng said sincerely and seriously. When Lu Bo heard Lu Changsheng's words, his wrinkled face twitched slightly. Marrying 100 wives and having hundreds of children really made him a little nervous. I really want to ask, are you a breeding pig? But thinking about it, it has only been more than 4 years, and Lu Changsheng has already had 12 women, and he has never stopped having children. He really has the intention of working towards this goal. Alice. Lu Bo sighed deeply. He never thought that Lu Miao Huan agreed to this blind date, but Lu Changsheng did not agree, thinking it was inappropriate. However, Lu Changsheng's words, although the reasons are bad, are also reasonable and understandable. Although Lu Changsheng is gifted in making talismans, it is only a talent potential, and it has not yet been fully transformed into strength. If the two really get married, Lu Miao Huan will have the advantage. With Lu Miao Huan's personality, Lu Changsheng will definitely accommodate Lu Miao Huan more. It's okay if Lu Changsheng is willing to accommodate. But if it is really as Lu Changsheng said, the two will eventually have a marital conflict. How should the Lu family deal with it? Bias towards Lu Miao Huan? Of course not. Lu Changsheng is gifted in making talismans. If he can make further progress in the art of making talismans and turn his potential into strength, his status in the Lu family will be comparable to that of a guest elder. Doing so will obviously make Lu Changsheng feel resentful and force him to leave. The Lu family married a daughter of the direct line to Lu Changsheng in order to completely bind Lu Changsheng to the Lu family. If this is the case, it will backfire and achieve the opposite effect. But if they are biased towards Lu Changsheng, it will make it difficult for the head of the family, Lu Yuanding. Therefore, if Lu Changsheng and Lu Miao Huan are successful and have a conflict, the Lu family will indeed be in a dilemma. Okay, I understand what you mean, and I will convey it to the head of the family truthfully. Lu Bo patted Lu Changsheng on the shoulder and said, without saying much, after all, this kind of thing requires the willingness of both parties, and they can't force Lu Changsheng or anything. If it really comes to that, the Lu family will even be more biased towards Lu Changsheng. Thank you, Lu Bo. Lu Changsheng said with a guilty and apologetic look. He had planned to take this opportunity to ask Lu Yuanding about Li Fiayu having children. See if he could ask Lu Yuanding to reduce the number of Li Fiayu's 50 children. But now that this has happened, he feels a little embarrassed to mention it. He plans to put it aside for now and look for another opportunity later. He said he wants to marry 100 wives, have hundreds of children. Lu Yuanding was speechless when he heard Lu Bo's retelling, and he didn't know what to say for a while. This is asking one person to go through the family's hundreds of years of history in a few decades? It seems that Lu Changsheng has completely given up cultivating immortals and just wants to have children. But thinking of Lu Changsheng's 9th grade spiritual root, he can understand it a little. Yes, patriarch. Although this sounds like a joke, I feel that Lu Changsheng really means this, and it doesn't seem like he is shirking his refusal to marry the second lady. Lu Bo said with a wry smile. Hearing this, Lu Yuanding nodded. Then he sighed deeply and said, I didn't think enough about this matter. Whether Lu Changsheng was making excuses or telling the truth, he didn't mean to blame him. As the head of the family, he still had some tolerance. For the sake of the family's interests, he couldn't blame Lu Changsheng. Besides, he had always considered his daughter Lu Miaohun for this marriage. He felt that Lu Changsheng was a very good candidate for his daughter. He didn't consider Lu Changsheng's wishes. He also subconsciously had a kind of arrogance in his heart. He thought that if he married his daughter to Lu Changsheng would be grateful and would never refuse. But now think about it, what Lu Changsheng said makes sense. Not to mention that Lu Changsheng wanted to have hundreds of children, the two of them were not very suitable in terms of personality. What if there was a conflict in the future? Now he is confident that he can suppress Lu Changsheng, but what about later? Even if he is the head of the Lu family, he can't use his power to suppress others, and other elders will not agree. And Lu Changsheng's words are also considered from the perspective of the Lu family. It means that she has a certain sense of belonging to the Lu family and is well-intentioned. Alice. Lu Yuanding sighed again. He is now an old father who is worried about his daughter. Thinking of the fact that his daughter's anger has subsided a lot and she is willing to wait for Lu Changsheng's reply, it means that his daughter really has some good feelings for Lu Changsheng. But now Lu Changsheng disagrees. He doesn't know how to face his daughter and how to talk about this. Headache. 2 days later, Lu Changsheng received another blind date invitation. He also understood that the Lu family's top management must marry a woman who has weight in the Lu family to him. Only in this way can he be considered a real family member and a son-in-law of the Lu family. Even though he had married 9 secular women from the Lu family before, in the eyes of the Lu family's top management, this was not a real son-in-law of the Lu family. The girl on the blind date is called Lu Miaohun, the granddaughter of the 4th elder of the Lu family. She is 18 years old this year, with a 7th grade spiritual root, looks like a little girl, and has a well-behaved and sensible personality. It was probably Lu Miaohun's business, and the Lu family also specially picked a well-behaved and sensible girl. This blind date was also very smooth. After the two met, both parties nodded, and the Lu family decided on their marriage the next day. The wedding date was 18 days later, which happened to be an auspicious day. At the same time, in an antique, exquisite and elegant small building, a vase with exquisite patterns was smashed to the ground and turned into countless fragments. The fragments on the ground reflected a beautiful face full of coldness. In the room, Lu Miaohun was not satisfied with smashing a vase, and smashed several vase ornaments before she calmed down. You say, is this Lu Changsheng deliberately humiliating me because of what happened that year? Lu Miaohun suddenly raised her head and looked at her personal maid Qi with red eyes. Before leaving Zhuxinziazu, she was a little angry and wanted to give Lu Changsheng another chance after she calmed down a little. As long as Lu Changsheng is willing to come and apologize to her, she is still willing to marry Lu Changsheng. But she didn't expect that Lu Changsheng rejected her directly. And 2 days later, he arranged to marry the granddaughter of the 4th elder, her sister. This made her, who was proud by nature, feel humiliated. Miss, how could this be? The maid Qi said carefully, then Lu Changsheng is in a hurry to like you. I heard that the reason why Lu Changsheng didn't agree was that he felt that he was not worthy of you, and he wanted to marry a wife, concubines and have a bunch of children, so he chose Miss Miaohun. Lu Miaohun knew that Lu Changsheng didn't mean to humiliate her. Her father Lu Yuanding also came to comfort her before. But she just couldn't swallow this breath. Lu Miaohun's beautiful eyes were closed, her chest rose and fell proudly, and then she gritted her teeth and said, Lu Changsheng, I will definitely find a man who is 10 times or 100 times stronger than you, and make you regret it. Damn, thank you for the 10,000 coins reward from the big boss. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49 Wedding. After Lu Changsheng and Lu Maiyuan's marriage was finalized, his wives and concubines in the backyard naturally learned about it. Even though the backyard was very harmonious and the women were virtuous and gentle, they were a little disappointed when they heard such news. It was not only that Lu Changsheng was going to marry again. There were also some reasons from the Lu family. After all, among this group of people, except Chu Henzhen, the others were all women from the Lu family. Now that Lu Changsheng's status in the Lu family has been improved, the Lu family has married a granddaughter of an elder with spiritual roots to Lu Changsheng. And it was a formal marriage with 3 letters and 6 engagements. This naturally made them feel a little uncomfortable. Although they were divided into wives and concubines on weekdays, they were not divided into any 3, 6, 9 levels, all depending on Lu Changsheng's preference. When this granddaughter of the elder married in, it was clear that she would be the legal wife. Don't worry, ladies. I have always treated you all equally. I will give you all a grand wedding in the future. Lu Changsheng also saw that his wives and concubines were a little unhappy, so he comforted them. These wives and concubines have been with him for so many years, and they have given birth to 2 children for him. They are giving birth to a 3rd child, so naturally they have some feelings for each other. Thank you, husband. Husband, we are fine. The clan is willing to marry Miss Maiyuan to you, which also shows their respect for you. Although the women were sad and regretted teaching their husbands to seek a title, they quickly adjusted themselves and knew that this was reality. With Lu Changsheng's current status and position, they, as secular women without spiritual roots, were not worthy of Lu Changsheng. It was a blessing to be Lu Changsheng's wife and concubine. It was already many times better than many other sisters, best friends and good friends. Moreover, after so many years of getting along, they also had some understanding of Lu Changsheng's character. They knew that their husbands were not ruthless people who would forget their old love when they had a new love. That night, Lu Changsheng came to comfort his wives and concubines. The wives and concubines seemed to be stimulated by what happened today. They worked extra hard and fought together, using all kinds of tricks. Afterwards, Lu Changsheng lay on the bed, hugging the women, and couldn't help but secretly said in his heart. As expected, a red plum is red, and a black plum is black. His wives and concubines didn't know so many tricks before. These days, they have been in contact with Jor and Shuir, the 2 girls sent by Hong Yi, and have learned so many tricks. If this goes on every day, how can I bear it? In a blink of an eye, 18 days have passed. The wedding of Lu Changsheng and Lu Maiyuan began. Different from the 2 small weddings of Lu Changsheng before. This wedding is very formal and lively. The whole Qingzhu Mountain is full of joy, with lights and decorations, and hung with big red lanterns. On this day, Lu Changsheng also woke up early. Under the dressing of the 2 women, he combed his hair, put on a golden crown, and changed into a red groom's brocade suit. Then, wearing a big red flower on his chest, riding a spirit horse, and leading the wedding procession, he came to the residence of the 4th elder to welcome the bridal sedan with gongs and drums. Since both families lived in the Lu family's Qingzhu Valley, they were not far apart, so after Lu Changsheng took Lu Maiyuan, who was wearing a fiery red wedding dress and a phoenix crown and bridal robe, to the bridal sedan, he walked around the entire Qingzhu Mountain. Along the way, most of the Lu family's children came to watch the wedding. I still remember that 4 years ago, I was standing here and saw Lu Changsheng entering our Lu family as a son-in-law. I didn't expect that more than 4 years later, he would marry Maiyuan, a clan sister. There's nothing we can do. Who can blame him for his good talent in talisman making? Yet, who would have thought that a son-in-law brought in for breeding would have such a talent for talisman making? A mid-grade talisman master. He became a mid-grade talisman master in more than 3 years. His talent for talisman making is better than Sister Maiyuan's. The 4th elder married Maiyuan to Lu Changsheng, maybe to make him his successor. After marrying Maiyuan, with the care of the 4th elder in the future, Lu Changsheng can be considered to have made great progress. Lu Changsheng has only a 9th grade spiritual root. No matter what, he has no hope of building a foundation in this lifetime. Build a foundation? I have a 6th grade spiritual root. If there is no opportunity, I dare not hope to build a foundation in this lifetime. But this Lu Changsheng has changed a lot. I remember that he looked ordinary at the beginning, but now he is so handsome. He is obsessed with women all day long. He must have practiced some kind of health-preserving and youth-preserving technique. If only I had married Lu Changsheng earlier. Many Lu family members sighed with emotion when they saw Lu Changsheng, who is handsome and tall, riding on a spirit horse and marrying Lu Miaoyan. In just 4.5 years, many of them witnessed Lu Changsheng entering the Lu family as a breeding son-in-law. Then he became an apprentice in making talismans, a talisman master, moved to Qingzhu Valley, and now married the granddaughter of the 4th elder. The immortals who came to the Lu family with Lu Changsheng to marry into the family were even more envious when they saw Lu Changsheng on a spirit horse. It felt like a dream. Back then, everyone was eliminated by the Qingyun Sect and came to the Lu family to be sons-in-law. Now 4.5 years have passed, and they are still breeding for the Lu family, completing the task of giving birth to 50 children in 20 years. And Lu Changsheng has married the granddaughter of the 4th elder of the Lu family, a female cultivator with spiritual roots. You know, this 4th elder is a first-class top-level talisman master. He has an extraordinary status in the Lu family. How can everyone not envy Lu Changsheng for marrying her granddaughter? In the crowd, Li Fei watched this scene, and when he thought of the two of them coming to the Lu family together, he was filled with mixed feelings. But he was still happy for Lu Changsheng. Lu Changsheng rode on a spirit horse, feeling all the eyes on him, and he also felt a bit of spring breeze and smugness. He felt that he had been in the Lu family for so long, and he finally made it. But he knew very well in his heart that in this world where the weak are the prey of the strong and strength is respected, cultivation and strength are the kingly way. His current status and position are all obtained by relying on the skill of making talismans. It is a trick, like rootless duckweed, a castle in the air. It must not float. Just like this, after walking around the entire Qingzhu Mountain, Lu Changsheng welcomed the bride back to his mansion. Witnessed by a group of senior Lu family members, the wedding began. First bow to heaven and earth. Second bow to parents. Husband and wife bow to each other. Sent to the bridal chamber. After the wedding, Lu Miaoyan became the legal wife of Lu Changsheng. Lu Changsheng had known about this for a long time. He did not fight with the Lu family for these titles and names, which made the 4th elder unhappy. The wives and concubines were also mentally prepared and understood at the beginning. After sending the bride to the bridal chamber, Lu Changsheng untied the big red flower and went out to receive the guests. On this day, he also got to know the senior leaders, clan elders, and guest elders of the Lu family. He officially entered the inner circle of the Lu family and became a member of the Lu family. During this process, he saw the 5th elder of the Lu family, who proposed to buy jade bamboo wine during the toast. Hearing this, the 5th elder also agreed very readily. He also said that there were many other kinds of spiritual wines in his home, and Lu Changsheng could come to taste and buy them when the time came. Chapter 50, Marry one, get one free. Night fell. The guests gradually dispersed after having enough wine and food. Lu Changsheng also walked towards the bridal chamber to prepare for the wedding. Son-in-law. Outside the bridal chamber stood a girl wearing a green silk skirt, with 2 buns on her head, a beautiful face, and big, clear eyes. This was Lu Miaoyan's personal maid, named Zhaoqing. She also had spiritual roots and was an immortal cultivator. In order to ensure a constant flow of fresh blood in the family, immortal cultivation families like the Lu family would also look for children with spiritual roots in the secular world. Once found, they would be sent to Qingzhu Mountain for training. However, except for some very talented children, most of them were taught the skills of spiritual plants, spiritual butchers, food, winemaking, mining, etc. in the 100 arts of immortal cultivation. Compared with formations, elixirs, refining tools, talismans, etc., these skills have no threshold and are very easy to get started, but they are more difficult. The Lu family's spiritual fields, spiritual bamboos, spiritual mines, and other rough and miscellaneous work that requires immortal cultivators to do are basically taken care of by these adopted children. When these people reach the age, the men basically marry ordinary women of the Lu family, and the women become concubines of the young masters of the Lu family, and digest them internally. Zhaoqing is a child who was adopted by the Lu family since childhood, and serves as a maid to Lu Maiyan. If nothing unexpected happens in the future, she will be married to a Lu family member as a concubine. But at this time, Lu Maiyan is married to Lu Changsheng, so Zhaoqing is also regarded as a maid, and is married together. For Lu Changsheng, marrying Lu Maiyan and marrying a little maid with spiritual roots is also an unexpected surprise. Zhaoqing, you have worked hard. Lu Changsheng smiled and nodded at the pretty little maid in front of him, pushed open the door and walked in. The red lights in the room are bright, and the characters are posted on the wall, and the decoration is magnificent. Lu Maiyan is wearing a fiery red phoenix embroidered wedding dress, a phoenix crown and a red veil on her head, sitting on the bed. Yuner. Lu Changsheng came to the bed and shouted at the beauty in front of him. Lu Maiyan did not respond, but from her sitting posture, it can be seen that she was a little nervous. Son-in-law. At this time, the maid Zhaoqing came over with a tray with a jade scale and wine utensils on it. Although the Lu family is a family of immortals, they have not completely gotten rid of some secular customs. Lu Changsheng also knew the rules. He picked up the jade scale and gently lifted the red veil of Lu Maiyan in front of him, revealing a gentle, soft, and bright face. The eyebrows are curved, the eyes are clear, the nose is delicate and pretty, and the mouth is rosy. Although not as exquisite and stunning as Lu Maiyan, it is also very beautiful. It belongs to the sweet and attractive appearance, and it looks like an innocent girl next door. Husband. After the veil was lifted, Lu Maiyan's long eyelashes trembled slightly, her pretty face was slightly red, and she was a little shy. She shouted in a soft and sweet voice with a bit of tenderness. Although her character was not as shy and weak as Qingzhu, she was not the kind of woman who was calm and generous. Moreover, as a woman, she had only met Lu Changsheng once before they decided to get married. How could she behave calmly on the wedding night? Lu Changsheng smiled, picked up the wine pot from the tray, poured a cup of wine for Lu Maiyan, and then poured himself a cup. He said, Yuner, today you and I are married, and from now on we will spend the rest of our lives together. Come, drink this cup. Please give me more guidance for the rest of my life. Lu Maiyan blushed a little, looked at the handsome young man in front of her, and then drank from the cup. I wish you and your husband a happy marriage and a son soon. Zhaoqing, the maid next to her, poured away the wine cup and shouted crisply. Then she bowed and left the room, closing the door, leaving the newlyweds behind. After drinking the wedding wine, Lu Changsheng immediately felt a little hot in his lower abdomen and realized that there was something wrong with the wine. Lu Maiyan's face was also rosy and beautiful. In the room, the breathing of the two people seemed unusually clear at this moment. Lu Changsheng knew without thinking that the wedding wine just now was probably specially prepared by the Lu family to liven up the wedding night. He directly embraced his little wife in front of him and said, Yuner, it's time to rest. Well, my husband, the lights are not off yet. Lu Maiyan moaned and said softly. It's okay, it's clear this way. This year, Lu Changsheng was 22 years old. He had 5 wives, 6 concubines, 2 concubines, and a maid. The next day, the sky was bright. The soft sunlight shone through the window and fell into the room, shining on the messy red wedding gown and fiery red wedding dress on the ground. After Lu Changsheng woke up, he looked at the beauty in his arms with disheveled hair and tears in the corners of her eyes. He felt relaxed and refreshed, without any tiredness. Lu Changsheng looked at Lu Maiyan's pitiful appearance, and thought of what happened last night. He thought that this young wife was still well-behaved and obedient, without any temper. He couldn't help but kiss her pretty and fair face. This little action immediately woke up Lu Maiyan from her sleep. She opened her eyes and called Lu Changsheng softly. Husband. The soft and innocent voice made Lu Changsheng feel a little charming. He gently pinched her rosy face and said softly, It's still early, you should have a good rest. I have to go see Grandma later. Lu Maiyan rubbed her sleepy eyes, and didn't fall asleep again. She wanted to get up. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng immediately supported the beauty. However, Lu Maiyan had the cultivation level of the 4th level of key refining after all, and her body was stronger than ordinary people. Yesterday, Lu Changsheng was still somewhat rational, so he would not have prevented her from getting up and moving for the first time. Besides, the spiritual wine was also somewhat beneficial to her. Soon, the two got up and dressed. Lu Maiyan quickly put away the handkerchief and put it in the mandarin duck brocade box beside her. This made Lu Changsheng smile. Then the two of them tidied up their clothes, opened the door, and prepared to go to see the fourth elder. Son-in-law, miss. The maid Zhaoqing was standing outside the door. Obviously she had not slept all night last night. Zhaoqing, didn't I tell you that you don't have to guard? You should go and rest quickly. Lu Miaoyan said to Zhaoqing. A maid like Zhaoqing who has spiritual roots, following the young masters and young ladies, is not completely serving people. It is to do miscellaneous work and learn something at the same time. If it is used to simply serve people, it would be too wasteful. Miss, I'm not tired. Zhaoqing smiled softly. Her voice was very crisp, like a yellow warbler. She has a 9th grade spiritual root and now has the 2nd level cultivation of key refining, which makes her more energetic than ordinary people. Lu Miaoyan didn't say much, and walked out of the manor hand in hand with Lu Changsheng and came to the residence of the 4th elder. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.